I would like to advise all those present that notice of this regular meeting of November 12, 2025 has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of time and place of this meeting has been included in the annual notice of meetings, which was posted and filed with the city clerk and with the Jersey Journal and the Star Ledger. An additional notice of time and place was posted and filed with the city clerk and was forwarded to the Bergen Record and Star Ledger on November 7th, 2025. The regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne is now in session. Ms. Medina, please call the roll.
Mr. Booker?
Here.
Mr. Carroll? Here. Mr. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Weimer?
Here.
Mr. La Palusa?
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving a redevelopment plan for the property located at 626-628 Avenue E, which is designated as Block 405, Lots 31, as shown on the official tax map of the city, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following the public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer?
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving a redevelopment plan for the property located at 626-628 Avenue E, which is designated as Block 405, Lot 31, as shown on the official tax map of the city. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Yes? Can you come to the front and state your name and address, please?
My name is Janice Mattis, and I live at 624 Avenue E in Bayonne. I don't understand exactly how this building is going up. How many floors is it? How big is it going to be?
I know it's 5 stories.
Okay,
It is 60 feet tall, and we'll have approximately 20 units.
20 units.
There was a letter that went out advising people to come to the planning board.
I received no
So-
such letter.
Okay.
When was it sent out?
I don't know the answer to that, but I will tell you that that is our normal process, so it'll go through that board and get sent back to us.
No, I did not receive any such letter. And I don't know that anyone else did either.
Well,
I brought this up back in 2019 regarding this building. I took him to court, and I won. So I'm asking, my question is, why is this coming up again?
why is it coming up again?
Yes.
The developer wants to develop the property. He bought the property, he wants, they want to develop this property into a building.
What is the difference between what he wanted before and what he wants now?
Again, I really don't know what he wanted before.
What was the nature of your appearance in court in 2019?
The actual court appearance, I did not go to. It was during COVID. But I did take him to court, and I have all the documents on that, and I won the case. So my question is, why is this occurring again? Now, if he wants to develop it, his building can be historic, and it is not.
It's, as far as I know, it's not designated historic,
No, it isn't.
yeah,
It could be, though.
but he owns the building and
Right, why don't
you
we,
know.
do we have anybody that can assist with these questions?
Right.
Anybody that has a bit of the history?
So on this project initially back in 2019 was in front of the zoning board for a variance, for a D variance, which kicked it there, which again didn't conform with the underlying zoning. While the zoning board did pass that, the court in the ruling did strike that down as a, I don't have the ruling, I haven't seen the ruling in a while, but they did revert, saying that the court, or that the zoning board used its authority to change the underlying zoning, which quite frankly, though, that's the purpose of the board, as that's a variance of a D variance. As this property has been studied as an area in need of redevelopment, along now with the, hearing now for the redevelopment plan, the current zoning here would, permit something similar in nature, as it's a, if it being proposed in the redevelopment plan, a 5-story building, but in the transit district, transit development district, the TDD, 7 stories would be permitted if you could meet the other bulk standards.
So does the plan that's in front of us today, it's safe to say that it is within the guidelines that's permitted? There is no need for a variance?
Well, again, from the height of what's being proposed, one of the purposes of doing it this way is for there to, finance the project, in the future for the council to consider a tax abatement on the property. But again, on the height, we're lowering from 7 stories to a maximum of 7 to 5 here. But on this, again, the bulk standards being proposed for this ordinance, as Council President LaPalooza said, it's 5 stories, approximately 20 units here.
Did you just say you were lowering from 7 stories to possibly 5 to 7 stories?
No, 5, it's going
So I
from,
misheard.
the underlying zone would permit 7 stories as the maximum height. In this redevelopment plan, the maximum height is 5 stories.
This plan, as it is in front of us.
Yes.
Max is 5. And they were shot down for a variance seeking over 5 in 2019.
No, they were shot down by the court. The zoning board approved this at 5. The court found, again, I don't have the ruling in front of me. I'm going off a recollection on that. But the court did strike the zoning board's approval down. Yes.
And isn't,
But-
Mr. Maselli, is this your project? Yes. Can you offer us some additional insight?
Certainly.
Why don't you choose?
Okay. So this was approved by the zoning board, as Mr. Skillender said, and it was for the actual physical height of the building. We were more than 10 feet.
That was in 2019.
Yes, and then it went to court, and instead of sending it back to the zoning board, which is almost always the result, I think, and I wasn't the attorney on that, I think the court got it dreadfully wrong when it just overturned. That is a draconian thing to do. But the thing that she basically said in her decision is, this is a re-legislation, this is a re-zoning of the property as opposed to giving a deviation, a variance. Well, okay, that's not the body that's supposed to do that, this body can do that. And this body has found that this is an area in need of redevelopment. And the building right now, as it stands, I think it's 60 feet, which is a normal-sized building for Bayonne, especially with the redevelopments that we have been approving. Some of them have been a little bit more than that. It's 20 units. It's appropriately sized for this project, for this property, and it puts the property to better use. It's a commercial use now. This is more consonant in a residential neighborhood. Just to step back to the zoning. The zoning that was implemented back when there was a prior planner here, the zoning that was implemented along Avenue E gave with one hand and took away with another. And what do I mean by that? It said you can have 7 stories, but you have to have lots of certain sizes and depths, right? And if you look down Avenue E, I haven't done a study, but I think others have, not If they find a lot that meets all of those requirements without getting a variance, there isn't one. It's almost impossible to meet those regulations. So it looks good on paper, the TDD, TDO, we're very transit-oriented development friendly, but it isn't. It makes it virtually impossible to comply, and that was on purpose. It was to require you to have to beg for permission to build. That was a different time, and it put Bayonne behind the eight ball for years. So now, fast forward to now, we've realized that, and we have rezoned a bunch of properties that are underutilized and are old commercial buildings, and we're looking to, it's, true transit-oriented development, which this is. And this isn't overly intense, this isn't overly tall, it respects setback boundaries, it's a nice project, and it's right-sized for this property. So, yes, you're changing the zoning, but that's what the court said. The zoning board shouldn't have done what it did. But this body's empowered to do that, and that's what we're asking you to do.
I wonder, just as an aside, and I don't mean to interrupt you, ma'am, but as an aside, I wonder if there has been prior litigation on a project, if that might be something that is pointed out to us in the future. We can certainly take that up
Yeah,
in another conversation.
not a great omission.
Exactly. Not something I welcome hearing, and I do think you are well within your right to come and offer that information to us. Just as my own comment, and this is not the ward that I oversee, but nevertheless, I'm certainly concerned with our community as a whole. My prior opinion was that I was in favor of this project because it is a very good use of that area, which is otherwise not being utilized and is very industrial and not necessarily helping residents. I wonder if this is something we need to consider more carefully, or if we should look at more carefully.
Yeah, I think we should pull this off and discuss it a little more and come back to this. Okay?
Okay, one more comment I will make,
Yes.
or two. The people I spoke with do not want this, period. And in the second place, it wasn't just one variance for the height. There were multiple variances that they were asking for that the court overturned, because they were asking for all variances. Not only the height, but frontage, and, I do have the papers. But they were asking for too many variances, and that's why it was overturned.
Okay. Well, I think what we should do is get the decision from the court and look at those papers, and we're going to put this off for this month. We're not going to do any action.
All right.
I just wonder if before we let the young lady leave, if Director Skillender, are we certain that we have all of that same documentation that was previously
Yes,
put
from
forth in
the court, because again,
ruling?
the zoning board was
The
a,
petition itself and
the zoning board, again, was sued in that capacity of it, so we have the decision from that, from the zoning board.
we have the decision, do we have? Right, the complaint
Yeah,
itself.
I will talk with our lawyer, our zoning board lawyer on that to make sure what he has on the file in that matter, but he should have all the documents, as the zoning board had to be named as a party in that matter.
Okay, Director, just as a side note, can we all get a copy of that? Because we're here talking about we're withdrawing this and we're going to make a decision on it. And I'd like to read her complaint and so forth and so on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
have-
you, Ms. Mattis.
You're welcome.
We have a motion to postpone to the December meeting. Can I have a second? Second. And on the motion to postpone, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
02 is an ordinance authorizing and approving Title 39 rights in accordance with NJSA 39:51-1 to enforce traffic and parking violations on public access roads and parking areas for the property located at 266-280 Broadway, which is identified as Block 268, Lot 1, as shown on the official tax map of the city. It was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Carroll, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Booker, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, authorizing and approving Title 39 rights in accordance with NJSA 39:51-1 to enforce traffic and parking violations on the public access road and parking areas for the property located at 266-280 Broadway, which is identified as Block 268, Lot 1, as shown on the official tax map of the city. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close? On the motion to close, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
So moved.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
03 is authorizing and approving the Title 39 rights in accordance with NJSA 39:51-1 to enforce traffic and parking violations on the public access road and parking areas for the property located at Avenue J, East 22nd Street, and Hook Road, which is identified as Block 466.01, Lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Block 478, Lots 1 and 1.01, Block 465, Lot 9, and Block 506, Lot 2, as shown on the official tax map of the city, pursuant to the Planning Board Application P 23018 and amending and supplementing Section 7-38.4 of the City of Bayonne Municipal Code. It was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president giving the ordinance second reading. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, authorizing and approving Title 39 rights in accordance with NJSA 39:51 to enforce traffic and parking violations of the public access road, parking area for the property located at Avenue J, East 22nd Street, and Hook Road, which is identified as Block 466.01, Lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, 478, Lot 1 and 1.01, Block 465, Lot 9, and Block 506, Lot 1, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the Planning Board Application P 23018 and amending and supplementing Section 7-38.4 of the City of Bayonne's Municipal Code. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. Any questions on 03? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move it.
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
04 is an ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property identified as Block 830, Lot 2.02, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And the resolution giving the ordinance second reading is moved by Councilmember Perez. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance authorizing the the sale of city-owned property identified as Block 830, lots 2.02. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Yes.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. This is an item that's up a second time for me. When I was sitting up there in 2021, this same exact property was going on. We were selling it. I was saying we should pull back because the developer, who, by the way, I love the developer. I picked him. I voted for him in 2016 when we granted this redevelopment plan. In 2016, the base had nothing, no infrastructure down there. The Alexa was the only thing. There was no walkways. There was no Costco. There was no LA Fitness, no Starbucks. You know, none of those things were down there. It was really just the Alexa. And we agreed to sell the land, and he had a great plan, and I've seen his work in other towns, and I'm sure his development's going to be fabulous. I have no objection to that. But my concern is that, and my concern that was up there in 2021 when I was sitting there, was that he never drew down on this land. He never took ownership after we gave him this redevelopment plan in 2016, almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So when we did that negotiation, it was a very different time. The market was very different, and what was down there was very different. So the value of the land was very different than it is today. So I do have a copy of the financial agreement, and it doesn't really say what the price per unit is or what the overall, because you're just doing one. But at that time, I believe it was like $19,000 a door, and then to 20 and to 30. But I did my calculations based on $35 a door, because I know in 2021 when I was advocating for it to go up, it didn't. So I know at that time it was about that. So at the time, there was 1,200, most recently, there was, barring the changes that are coming up in the next one, and that was at the planning board meeting that I was at last week. There was 1,250 units. So that's 1,250 doors, and normally redevelopment values are calculated by doors. And this was the original thing was about $35,000 per door. So if you do the math, 35,000, times 1,750 comes out to $61,255,000. That's what the price basically was, right? We have never received one penny in tax dollars because he never drew down, so land tax was never even paid. That was my argument back then. We were told it was gonna be, and I was no longer on the council, and it never happened, okay? So still hasn't paid anything 10 years later. So now today, next thing on this agenda is that we added another 500 units to this building, so 500 doors. So according to the financial agreement, the sale agreement that I'm looking at, I don't see a change in the price. So that's still now giving him 500 extra units today in 2025, the price that was a valid price, a very fair price in 2016. But all that infrastructure we have down here, the going rate for a door down there now is more like $75,000 per door. So if we did the whole thing, because you have the right as the council to renegotiate the whole agreement now. You do. So if you did it $75,000 a door times the new increase you did of 1,750 units, that would be $131,250,000. That is a difference of $70 million loss to the taxpayers, okay? But even if we say we'll honor what we did back in 2016, and then it was redeveloped in 2020, an amendment was made in 2017, and then in 2022, and 2023, and just last week in 2025. 23 and 24, and now 25, okay? That's the Fourth Amendment that was passed this last Tuesday. Okay, even if we honor that, and we said we were just gonna charge him today's rate for the new 500 units we decided to give him last week, or you guys did it at last month's meeting, So I'm not really sure what the plan is, because you guys introduce something, and then the planning board did something different this week, but this is a second reading, so it can't be what they did 2 days ago, because that would be a first reading. But, so even if you did it that way, right, the 500 units, what we're going to get now at the $35,000 per door is $17.5 million, okay? But if he paid us today's value, it's about $75K a door, times 500, that would be $37.5 million. If we're keeping it, that's a $20 million loss in tax revenue to the city. Well, it's not tax revenue, it's for the sale of the land. But that could help this city instead of raising our taxes, right? That's $20 million where you're leaving on the table that these taxpayers, that's the value of our land. So you know what this is? To me, this is a fire sale. This is payback for an election that just happened. This is what this is. This is payback for an election, because this is when this happened last time, when the mayor election. It became a payback for an election. You know what? That's nice. He's elected. His election's over. You guys are all up for re-election. Just saying. And that being said, you know, not, and additionally, the man who introduced this plan, he don't care anymore. The man in the corner office sold his property. He's not a homeowner in Bayonne anymore. His deed for sale was filed July 1st. So he's not a taxpayer. So this is not affecting him like it's affecting me and most of the people are sitting out here. And probably, the rumor has, once he's completely resigned from here, he'll probably be living in another city in Hudson County. So this is not affecting him. So he sold his house, and on the way out, he's selling out the Bayonne people. That's what's happening. We're leaving all this money on the table. That's what you're leaving on the table. I'm just saying, that's you know, really not acceptable. So I am for this plan 100%. It's a huge plan. It's a great, I do have issues with the plan, and I'll talk about that on the next thing. There are some issues because there are some things that are not proper down there to accommodate this right now. But, you know, it's a great project, and, you know, Neil, I'm sure when we talk in a minute, you're going to talk about why, we'll talk about why affordability isn't mandated in our redevelopment plan. And Gary, I'm going to ask you about union labor, because this definitely is a job that requires union labor, but I don't see it in anything in writing. But like I said, that's my take on this property sale. So I think you all need to take a breath and maybe do what you did on the last one and relook at and understand why you did not renegotiate the financial terms for the best interest of your constituents. Thank you.
I'm going to let one of the professionals speak on this, because there's a number of things that were left out in the storyline of this. And so one of our professionals will explain that, so.
Can I just?
Not Sharon,
Well, I
you
just
had
wanna
your
say, I
time.
don't want a
Let the
storyline. I'm going by what the
professionals-
documents say.
Not the storyline.
Thank you.
I got you. Let them explain, because that's what we pay our professionals for.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's John Wichiscala. I'm redevelopment counsel for the city. Pleasure to be here this evening. I was actually in this room speaking about this very project probably three and a half years ago. And just to put it into context, what we're talking about right now, we're not talking about the redevelopment plan. We're not talking about prior redevelopment agreements. What we're here is on Ordinance 04, which is an ordinance to authorize the sale of Block 830, Lot 2.02. What is that? That is Phase 1 of the Bayonne Partners project. And as indicated, and it is absolutely correct, this is the first phase of the redevelopment project that was approved by this city in 2016. There have been a number of amendments over time. Whatever happened a week or two ago, that is not the most recent amendment. It was originally approved at 1,250 units. It was amended approximately 3 years ago to the current number, which is 1,750 units. But we are here on Ordinance 04 to talk about the closing of Phase 1. And there's discussions about why the developer didn't take down properties. And when I was here 3.5 years ago in this same room talking about this issue, I reluctantly said that the redeveloper had not done anything to default or breach the agreement. The agreement, as with all of our redevelopment agreements, has obligations on both sides. Redeveloper has certain obligations, things they need to perform, and so does the city too, the city-owned property. When I was here 3.5 years ago, it said in public, the city had not yet performed all of its obligations. We had an obligation, among other things, to amend the highway access permit, clear title. There were a number of items. We have pared down those items over the course of the past 3 years. We got the redeveloper agreed to waive the requirement for a highway access permit modification for this first phase of development. And this first phase of development, incidentally, is 240 units. The issue that we have had, and believe me when I tell you, I have been charged with seeing this phase come to a closing for the first 240 units. Our issue has been an environmental issue. There was a pile of dirt that was stockpiled on city-owned property along one of the roadways. And about 6 years ago, a decision was made to move that dirt from that particular location and to put it on what is phase one of this site. Approximately 30,000 cubic yard pile of dirt. When we took a look at this pile of dirt, it was realized that it contained contaminants. It was not a clean pile of dirt any longer. It was city-owned dirt on city-owned property. So the city has had to deal with that issue. We have been in multiple public meetings here. We've had RFPs that have gone out, and it was the city's responsibility. The city went out to RFP, hired its consultants. The dirt pile has been removed. We had our LSRP matrix do all the analysis, et cetera. It was not a cheap process. It turned out that decision to move the dirt from one location onto this site resulted in an environmental cost to the city of approximately $400,000. But the work has been done. I would say it's reflected in the ordinance that the redeveloper actually funded that work. When I say it funded it, it put the monies into escrow, and that's actually going to be a credit off of the purchase price that's reflected in there. You'll see a net purchase price. But that dirt work has finally been done. That was actually the final item that was a city obligation for us to close on phase one. Work was completed, letters have been issued, so why are we here tonight on Ordinance 04? It's technically a requirement that we have an ordinance that formally authorizes the sale of that phase one portion of the property. It is in the original redevelopment agreement. It's in the amended redevelopment agreements. The original redevelopment agreement, incidentally, was a redevelopment purchase and sale agreement. So that's why we are here. We could not close sooner on phase one without providing that necessary clearance. We are ready to go. Closing documents have all been prepared. With the passage of this ordinance, we will be able to close title on phase one and proceed accordingly.
Mr. Skillender, can you enlighten us a little bit about the price? And,
Right, but I wonder if I
whether
might
that's
ask
fair or not?
John a question first,
Okay. All right.
Council President.
John, go ahead, sure.
Let me just ask you a couple of questions. One, why is it that we would make a decision to move contaminated dirt from one location to another?
I don't know how that decision was made, to be honest with you. I just along the line learned that there was a dirt pile that was on this site, and somebody else may have
And then
an opinion on it. I don't know.
if
All I know is
neither-
the dirt is there, and we have to deal with it.
Right. No, and I appreciate that. But if neither party then met the terms of that agreement, why wouldn't that agreement just become null and void? And one would think that the city would then revalue this property and put it up for sale once again at a time when I believe our finances are going to be strained?
Well, we have a contract. We entered into an agreement. There was no breach of the agreement by the redeveloper. So they signed an agreement, and again, it had obligations on them, obligations on the city. When we come down to it over the course, again, of the last several years, the obligation has been on our part to address these issues. We need to be able to give, listen, it's just like any contract. You buy a house, you have
Well, and
terms.
that's exactly what I'm
and,
thinking.
and, yes,
Right,
and,
but if
and you have a
But if
willing.
he didn't breach, then that would have been an actionable issue for him. He could have then
If
sued.
I can jump in, you're right. An anticipatory breach would be one thing, but in order to come to equity, you have to come to equity with clean hands. Means you can't say, well, I want out of this contract because I want out of this contract, and the developer hasn't performed. If you've got some pre-existing conditions that you have to take care of. And in this case, we had an obligation to provide certain things that we're just now able to provide. Given that, we didn't have the right, and we went through this very hard over the course of several meetings several years ago about whether or not there was a breach on the part of the city, on the part of the developer. Mr. Wichiscala has a, to be charitable, contentious relationship with counsel for the redeveloper. Notwithstanding that, facts are facts, and they have a funny way of getting in the way of things. And this dirty dirt pile, that wasn't a decision on the municipal council to move it there, the dirt was moved from one site to another, is the last of the pre-existing conditions that we are obligated to take care of prior to closing. And the developer, to his credit, once we said, okay, you're well aware that we had to facilitate an accommodation on his part to the tune of $400,000 temporarily. He'll get a credit back at closing. We can now effectuate phase one. This is a long and tortured process, no doubt about it. We've had attorneys involved in these things up to their necks, and we're at the precipice of being able to close on phase one, which will allow us to move forward on the other phase.
Does phase one at the price of, first of all, is the price of 4.9 million, is that inclusive of all phases, or will there be additional payments up?
No, this is only first phase, and that is actually a net price. They initially made a deposit of 300, I believe 325. I think it's reflected in the ordinance. Those monies were actually released to the city in terms of its general budget years ago. So they're getting that credit. They're getting a credit for, actually, I believe they put up $450,000. I think at the end of the day, the work is going to be about $400,000. So they're going to get a credit for that. And then there'll be just whatever your typical adjustments are at closing. But that net purchase price, which is just under $5 million, is for phase one, and it's on the basis of 240 units.
And so as the phases progress, there will be additional payments?
That is correct. As the project continues, as with other projects that involve city property, phases 2, 3, it's actually, I believe it's phased out as 6 phases in its entirety. We would be back, just like any other project, with ordinances that are authorizing it. And that's provided in the original redevelopment agreement and the amended agreements. You come in, title companies want to, and lenders want to see that there's a formal ordinance from the municipal council in this regard.
That's okay. So, Council President, I think some of the things that have to be, explained out to the public and to the council on this, again, for the full history on this project. So some of the numbers that were just priorly quoted, they were 35,000 to 40,000 a door. Again, would make sense if this was a stick frame construction. When I say stick frame, on 6 stories or more. This project is not. This is, like gauge steel to steel and concrete, and the purchase price on the door, per door, actually decreases as the higher that you get up. If you were getting that kind of rates on that, we would be downtown Jersey City also getting, close to $60 a square foot for rent, we're nowhere near that. We're closer to between $35 to $40 a square foot. So at the time the amended redevelopment agreement was done for these additional 500 units, it was negotiated at a fair market price of, $25,000 a door, and that is stated in the amended redevelopment agreement, not the financial agreement, because the financial agreement shouldn't have those terms. Those would be in the redevelopment agreement. So when overall those additional 500 units would net the city approximately $12.5 million of sale that it didn't have at the time. So those are, again, for the additional phases. But I think that's important for the record and for the public to know on, the project for this. So for the council to say that we didn't renegotiate on it, I think we did. We got additional monies out of it, and those numbers were based off of the sale of other projects at the time of similar height, of 12 stories or more of other projects, and broken down on a per-door basis. So that was something that the city agreed with along with the redeveloper, and, in a fair, price. $25,000 a door for, 12 stories, for like-gauge steel and for concrete, I think is more than fair, price on the city's end of this. Look, if this was stick construction, I'd agree, $40,000, $45,000 a door would be appropriate, but it's not. I think you have to look at the construction of the building being built there and, equate apples to apples and oranges to oranges here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Pat Desmond, 131 West 4th Street, Bayonne. I believe that Borai pays more per door than any other developer you have down there. Gupta paid, what, 10,000 per door? KPE's paying, what, 15,000 per door? And you're saying Borai's paying 35,000, right?
25,000, yeah.
That's more than everybody else. So if you want to see Borai's work, just drive to New Brunswick. They do a great job. They use union labor. They're going to use Bayonne contractors because I'll hold their feet to the fire to do that as subcontractors. I brought them in under Doria. He was going to use all Bayonne contractors to do the work. So if he's using Bayonne contractors, he's keeping the money in Bayonne, right? And if he's using union labor, it's going to be built better. And he's paying more per door than everybody else. And I understand what Sharon's saying. I'm not trying to go against her, but we need to start building. It's been laying vacant for how long? We're getting nothing right now, right? Need to start building it out.
$5 million is a lot of money, too.
Need to start building that out. So it's been 20 years at least since something was built down there. So that's all I'm saying.
It's about time that something's done on that
Yes.
property. We agree.
Wasim Borai is a man of his word. He'll come in here, do the right thing. Give him a chance. Get it going.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
Tom Solari, 8 West Grand Street. I've been in the construction field for 20-something years. When you build something with concrete and steel, I don't give a damn what price you got, $25 a door. Prices go up when you use concrete and steel. I worked on 3 buildings down there, and they're built with wood. What my owners got down there, I don't know. But I guarantee you, they got a song and a dance. One of the biggest developers that Bayonne had, and the biggest developers in Jersey City. They got the whole Journal Square. And their buildings are built with concrete, glass, and steel. Okay? I think we should renegotiate the price, because you're going back to 2016 and going with $25,000 worth of door, and you're gonna take the taxpayers' money out of our pockets to fund their mistake. 90% of the MOT is contaminated. Nobody up there cannot say they didn't know. You could go back to the friggin' first mayor that we had. That base has been contaminated since the base has been built. On a summer day, you go sit down on 440 between Costco and Wendy's and smell the stench that comes out of that water. Vinnie LeRae had a perfect word for it. It smells like crap. And you can smell that all the way to Broadway on a nice windy day. So for everybody to say they didn't know this place was contaminated, they're full of you know what. But as you're standing there for the developer, I don't believe that we have to pay $25 worth the door and you're going to use concrete and steel. I think the price should be negotiated and look at the taxpayers that are going to be coming here in May to put you back in office. Thank you.
I just want to clarify, I am not here on behalf of the developer. I represent the city. Believe me, I have been trying to press this sale of phase one of this project for years. The point that I am making is we do need to deliver clean title and a property that does not have known contaminated substances on it. And that is what we have had to deal with. Nobody wants it closed quicker than I do. This thing has been on my plate. I'm here for the city. The work has been done. From a contractual perspective, they're obligated to buy and we're obligated to sell, and we're ready to go with phase one.
Raise the price. Think of the taxpayers, not your pocket. Think of the taxpayers.
Okay, please, don't yell from the chair. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I figure, I just found out about this project a few hours ago, so I really have. Rich Metelsky, 87 West 3rd.
He did.
Yeah, I did. I was sitting home, I seen it on social media, and I said, I come up with a novel idea. How about we pause development like we did the last election? It worked so great then, it may work again. Let a new administration, a new mayor come in, and he may have different ideas. Because it seems like every time we sell property down the base, we're getting taken. And even I see a project going on there right now. It looks like 3 new buildings going up in that what used to be a grassy lot. And we can't even figure out how to get cars on and off the base. And we're thinking about putting another 1,000 units. I mean, I've lost confidence really in the planning and the strategy of this. I got nothing else to say except take Northern Illinois plus 14.
Stephanie Glover Wilson, 1050 Avenue C. Didn't know all this was going on, but I guess the question would be is, I understand you said that you're here for the city, but you don't live in the city, do you?
No,
Okay.
I'm redevelopment counsel, yes.
Okay, so your taxpaying money is not being brought out your pockets extra. My whole thing is, why can't we negotiate the price? If we did something in 2016, and this is 2025, don't things go up? I mean, I'm not a developer. I can't build nothing. Don't even know how to hold a hammer. But isn't that just common sense? If I charge you something in 2016 and now in 2025, it shouldn't be the same price. Because milk yesterday was $3 and then next week is going to be $4. So why we can't just go back to the table and negotiate a price? I don't know, I'm just
Mr.
asking.
Richard Scala said, it doesn't sound like it's that easy, especially since I think some of the things were on us, on the city, and that was the reason why this deal didn't get done faster. So I don't know if there's a legality to that, but we could be sued, I think.
Listen, we entered into a contract. We agreed, these are the deliverables we're going to provide you. We're going to provide you with a clean piece of property. We're going to give you we're going to give you a good and clean title. And over the course of this time, we have not been able to. But we have a binding contract. A redeveloper takes on the responsibility. It's under the redevelopment law. This property was declared as an area in need of redevelopment. It was blighted. Again, I represent the city. I am representing the administration, but we signed a contract. We had our obligations. The developer has their own obligations, and we are now, 9 years later,
I can count.
delivering on that. So we have contracts. You have offer, acceptance, consideration. And that's where we are right now. The developer is not in breach or default of the agreement. So we're not in breach or default either. We've delivered. And this is about closing on the first phase of the project.
And now I'm just curious about one other question that she asked. Why did we move contaminated dirt from one site to another site? Is
That I cannot answer that question.
Like,
It
I don't
was on one parcel of city property that was not on this, within this redevelopment area, an area that this city decided needed to be redeveloped, but a decision was made. I cannot tell you why that was made, but what I can tell you is it created a problem, and it's created a many-year delay in the ability of the city to convey the property, to finally realize, the consideration. And it's also led to a delay in the ability of the redeveloper to proceed with the development.
And my last question. So we moved the bad dirt to another property, still bad dirt. So now we got to pay another money to get the bad dirt off of that property to go.
Well,
It's been removed now.
So
yeah.
it's all gone, we're done with it? Yes. Okay. I still think we need to.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Gene Perry, 77A Hobart Avenue, Bayonne, New Jersey. Just a quick question. When was the remediation completed for that dirt?
Like within the last month.
Do we have a report available if it's opened?
We do have a report.
And what about the location where the dirt was moved from initially? Was that remediated yet?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Well, the dirt was moved from one location to another. So it was dirty over here, so I'm sure it's dirty where it came from. Was the other location also tested?
I don't know if the other location was tested. I think the pile's removed. I don't know all the particulars in that regard. I know it was moved onto this site. Looks like Director Skillender is here to speak to that.
So, Gene, just for clarity's sake, are you asking where the pile of dirt ended up?
No. Was the new area tested by the state that it's no longer contaminated? Similar to Collins Park, we had all the chromium. The state had to come in and test it. Was testing done there, and was it done where it was moved from?
So the testing that was done on the property that was being sold,
Yes.
that is what was being tested on there, and that has come back with negative findings of contamination there. As for where the dirt came from, we can't speak to. Again, I don't know where that came from, that dirt pile, and how it ended up on the city's property on there. But I could tell you for the property where, I could speak to from, if let's just say point one is where the dirt originated from, don't know where that happened and why that happened to move onto the current property. So for, let's just say 2 on that one. So, but from 2 to its removal, I can say that we know that we've removed that property. We've tested that soil. Our licensed site remediation professional at Matrix conducted the testing, the removal with the company Ambient on that to certify that it was done proper in accordance with the DEP rules and regulations there, and again, move that to its final.
That report is available to the general public.
I believe it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
So moved.
On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
So moved. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
My concerns largely emanate from '05. The nature of '04, as explained by our attorneys and even as the public discussed, I'm inclined to vote aye, given that this is essentially a contractual procedure and a clearing of title, but I vote aye.
Mr. Perez.
At this phase, I'm looking at the way Mr. Desmond said, union labor. I think that when we sit down with these people, they should explain that we need union labor, and I vote aye on that.
Ms. Weimer.
I too am conflicted by this, but I do recognize that we entered into a contract and did not deliver on the deliverables that were our responsibility. This developer has every right to take legal action against us. I think also that because this is a multi-phase project, knowing that additional funds will come into the city as these phases progress is somewhat comforting to me. And I too am familiar with the developer in and of himself. I do know him to typically use union labor. It is not spelled out. I don't have a clear confirmation that that is the case on this one, but I do know him to typically do quality work using union labor. And because I cannot shield away fault on the city, I do think we certainly bear some of the fault in this. It should have happened quicker. The relocating of this dirt disturbs me. I don't know why or who would have made that decision or who its location bothered so much so that they had it moved. But nevertheless, for those reasons, I will vote aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
This has been a long time coming. I know for this developer, that he normally uses union labor. I've heard it mentioned many times that he's going to be using union labor, which we're definitely in favor of. The city explained why there was delays in this. It was to no fault of the developer. They're paying what we considered at the time a fair price, and because it was no fault of their own, we have to basically honor that price. And so with that, I'll vote aye.
Okay. 05 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving an amended redevelopment plan for the peninsula at Bayonne Harbor Bay East for the entirety of Block 830, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Booker, will you second? Second. On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving an amended redevelopment plan for the peninsula at Bayonne Harbor, Bayonne Bay East for the entirety of Block 830. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Mr. Drowsky.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to think that sometimes something's going to sink through. Because that was, I'm glad you're all comfortable with giving away money. Because I didn't hear our lawyer talk about that it wasn't negotiable. Just saying that. Okay, so about this project itself. Again, no problem. It was all for this project when it was going to be one of the first projects down there and there was nothing there. and there was, would be the only thing with a lot of these units and everything, and we all know what a great developer. We heard a lot of testament to him, no problem. But I do have a problem. This is a redevelopment plan, which should say in it, I understand that, well, seems a great guy, and he generally uses union labor, and I believe that. But you guys have the power, yes, you do, because this isn't a plan that we're looking at today, isn't one that came back from the planning board last week, because this is one you guys changed. And when I was at the planning board meeting, I'll have you know, the other engineer for the city, or CME, who represents the city, said, I'm up here on the behest, he said, of the city council, because they asked me to add 5 stories. And I literally got up there and said, are you kidding me? Did they really ask you? They asked you. I went, and that was my professional question to him. And he said, well, through the developer, yeah, it was them that requested these 5 stories be added. Just letting you know it's on YouTube, the meeting. But with that being said, I just don't understand what we're doing with adding the 500 stories. 1,750 units. That's 1,750 plus cars at a minimum. And they told me at the planning board, no, Sharon, there's going to be a ferry, the good old ferry. Loved the ferry, took it for years from Brady's Dock, then took it from Port Liberté, best transportation in the world. I advocated for the ferry. I wish we had a ferry. And I know, again, we're playing politics with our agenda here and the articles that went out, because back before the primary election for the man in the corner, there was an article about the ferry and the contract with New York Waterway, right before that primary, right? Do you know what's posted now out there? New York Waterways 2025 map. And you know what's not on it? 2026 map? Bayonne. So I know that's what we want to say when we want to get people thinking we're getting things done and we want their votes. But it's not reality. We cannot build development saying a ferry's, oh, we're getting a ferry, because it's not there. And then we can say it's in a transit area because the light rail is only, if you go by, why would I say, fly straight, maybe 3/4, actually from this one it's probably over a mile, because I know I run down there, so I can tell you what that is. Probably a little over a mile to get to the light rail station. But the problem with that is you can't get there by foot, because we're still waiting for the pedestrian walkway bridge that we've been promised for 10 years too. We're going to blame that on DOT. And I know how DOT works. But you know what? Who's following up? Because whatever job it is should be calling them every single day before we have more deaths on that road. Remember, we were all gung-ho when those poor people lost their lives there, right? Hit by the car, all over. And then, oh, yeah, we're all pounding our chest. And then where's the follow-through? So you're putting 1,750 units. That's a minimum, because there's no other way to get around. We have no cross-bus transportation in this town. None. There's no cross-town transportation. And right now, the bus service, Amel's bus service on Broadway bus is going away, and he went to seniors and took them. I don't know if you're getting that. I don't even know if you negotiated with New Jersey Transit, because I don't see that on their website either for taking over the bus route. Bayonne has a terrible public transportation system, but yet we're going to keep putting people down there that the only way they can get out is through cars, because there is no other way. They're not walking. They're not walking a mile and a half, and they're not crossing that highway unless they want to take their life in their hand. And we shouldn't be encouraging that anyway. And the fact that we have bad infrastructure down there, that we're paying police officers who should be out patrolling for the 3 drive-by shootings that happened recently, 2 in my neighborhood on 4th and 5th Street, okay? But instead of our cops maybe being out patrolling and doing other things, they're doing traffic down there. We had 3 cop cars down there doing traffic because it's such a nightmare, because of all the accidents and the cars. And when the cruise ship comes in, there you go. How many passengers? I have no idea go on a cruise, but I'm assuming it's a couple thousand passengers on most of these boats, and they're all coming by car, whether it's Uber. I mean, they're not walking down there. There's no other train. So they're going in and out, and no one can get around there. It's just dangerous. So you don't have the infrastructure in place, and we're tired of hearing, but it'll be there by the time it's developed, because it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. That ferry's been being promised before the Davis administration. Mark Smith mentioned the ferry. okay? So we're talking 15 years or so, we've been talking about the ferry coming there. And it's just not happened. So all I'm asking is for you guys to take caution. Maybe you put a pause on this. I think Richie talked about that. Why don't we put a pause on it and wait till the infrastructure catches up? Because another thing that's going to happen is, I was at the planning board meeting, we talked about the number of two-bedroom units. And there are going to be kids there. And we don't even have a way to get kids safely. And Jackie, I know people have called her about how we're getting kids to school because they can't walk over the highway. And it's dangerous, and we shouldn't be advocating, and you're creating that danger by building these units. You know the saying, build it, they will come. Well, you're asking them to come, and then you're asking them to put their lives on the line to get to school, to get an education. That's on you, because you're putting them, you're setting up that danger. You're setting that up. So I'm just saying, maybe we need to take a pause on this. Maybe you don't need to, I'm not saying it's not a good project, and I'm also asking you right now to go to update this, You can do it right here on the fly, and you know you can. You can make union mandatory. You can add that to this redevelopment plan, and you can also add affordable units to a redevelopment plan. And I know people who sat up there, Mr. Coffey's not out here, will tell you, oh, that's not part of a redevelopment. Every other town puts affordability into their redevelopment plans. They all do. So, Mr. Carroll, I'm going to ask you. You should make that motion. See if your colleagues have it to come up
On several occasions.
right now. But right now, on this plan, you can make it contingent. You guys know you can make changes on a plan when you're doing it. And Gary, I would like, why don't you make the amendment to mandate union labor? Mandate it. I'm sure Wasim is going to do the right thing. But he may turn around and sell this tomorrow, because tomorrow, after you pass that last one where he bought the land, he'll turn around and sell it for more than $25,000 a door, guaranteed. And it'll be the money out of us taxpayers that we could have got that $20 million. It's going to go into the developers, because he's definitely selling it. The value of that land, by the nature of this, is going through the roof, okay? So he can sell it tomorrow without doing anything. And the redevelopment plan will bind, in case he sells it to someone else, that union labor and that affordability that maybe Mr. Wasim's going to do out of the goodness of his heart will bind the next person that he sells this development to. If he sells the redevelopment plan, the property that goes with it, you'll be binding the next person to actually have to abide by what we all believe, Wasim would do. But I don't believe in taking people at their words. I think it should be binding. It's not just you taking their words. You're representing all the residents here. You have an obligation, and the obligation is to deliver, not to see, well, I'm sure he usually does, well, he probably will. That's not acceptable. Your job is to make sure it happens. Thank you.
So, Mr. Skillender, I have a question for you. Can you explain how the city's making more money on the number of units?
Sure. So under the purchase and sale agreement, it was initially structured where, based on the number of doors that were sold, the city would get a sliding scale. And the original purchase and sale and redevelopment agreement limited to 1,250 units. So the next amended agreement, which was in front of this council, it was negotiated for the additional 500 doors there to be at 25,000 a door. So basically, in short of it, the more units that the city approves there, the more money that the city gets on the development side for the sale of it. So that's how the contract was structured and continues to work and operate. So as the developer takes down each of the, unit counts for his, different phases, the city will get that. So again, you're going to see another ordinance, for the second, third, fourth phase, so forth. But again, if the developer so chooses, wants to buy more units from the city has that option to, again, renegotiate the price of it and sell more units there and get more money out of the developer for the purchase of the land.
I'm sorry, did I understand that you said we did have the ability to renegotiate?
Well, as the number of units that came in from that. We did, renegotiate the part of the contract that wasn't in, dispute or agreed upon priorly. So we
So we had the ability to renegotiate the additional.
additional units, yes, because that was at the request of the developer at the time, along, again, with the city's need for getting more future revenue coming in. So the amended agreement was put in front of the council to sell more units, there and get more money, into the city's coffer.
And did we, just to clarify a couple of points,
Sure.
did we ever have the ability to renegotiate the original contract for the purchase price? As I understand it, we were in default, which in my mind.
I'll answer the question, no.
Thank you. We
Yeah,
didn't. Okay.
we didn't. We agreed. So this is we're not talking about a brand-new 1,750-unit project. This started out as a 1,250-unit project in 2016. And with, and there have been one or two amendments over the last couple of years which have come before this council, ultimately resulting in the additional 500 units at that purchase price. And we did discuss the purchase price in this room, in the context of those ordinances. That was it. The ordinance that's here tonight, again, please read everything in it, but its purpose is essentially for the city. We are following up. We agreed under the RDA that they're entitled to 1,750 units, and this is a redevelopment plan that recognizes 1,750 versus the 1,250. You look at height, look at everything else. Believe me, I'm not saying not to, but it is about the additional 500 units. And I do not believe, incidentally, legally, that the city council can impose a mandatory union labor agreement in the context of a redevelopment plan. I have not seen that. We have certainly never done it. And it's my legal opinion in that regard.
Right. Thank you. That was my next question, John.
Is it
So
legally permissible in a financial agreement?
in the financial agreement, that was.
I think it's even worse in the financial agreement than the redevelopment agreement. The financial agreement is supposed to deal only with the financial terms of this. The redevelopment agreement deals with the redevelopment of the property.
Okay. So it really is not within our ability to mandate the use of union labor, which is quite honestly something I would be in favor of.
We're
But
all in favor of it, and I've talked to Wasim Boré, who told me that he's going to use. I agree, you can't always take their word for it, but in going in past practice, like you said, and you say he does great buildings, I've seen a little bit of his work, and I like it as well.
So, John, part of, I guess, what the PLA too on this is,
Right.
in order for the municipality to, and I think we've had this discussion in public, to mandate a PLA, the court has found that the city has to have some skin in the game, outside of just selling and doing redevelopment. That city has to put a bond. So like for the film studio, us putting a redevelopment area bond, there's a financial stake that the city took in the project to, mandate some terms. Again, the power of the purse on that. So that's how, again, we can mandate, PLA for that. But also, again, even for how our ordinance is written, there has to be, a two-part test to the, city involvement of a project being more than $15 million there. So on this one, we're happy that, again, the developer's taking that initiative on his own. But for the city council to do so, I don't think it's in the spirit of the PLA law, and again, would potentially violate, what powers that the municipal council has.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Lena Drillman, 189 West 27th Street. I had a question about that. I'm sorry, I just forgot what it was right now. She's something about affordability. Can you mandate affordability? There's some affordable units on it?
Yes, you can. That's the short
That
answer.
could be added, right? I have one more thing. I know when you buy a house, you can't just like have that contract open-ended for 9 years. You know, there's usually like a limit, like you have 60 days to finalize this or something. How come we don't have that with the city? You know, even with the film studio, like, you know, if this doesn't go through within a certain period of time, then it should be opened up to something else or renegotiation or something. That's what I don't understand, like, why has this dragged on so long, you know? In other situations, not only this one, I knew something about some dirt, but besides that, why isn't there like
an
a...
expiration date?
Yeah,
of the
why isn't
contract?
that? Yeah, why isn't that? That would be to the city's advantage.
But there's
There should
several,
be,
right, and sometimes in the course of this, there's several extensions that they can get as well.
okay, but that would be up to the city to grant that extension, wouldn't it be?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I
they
mean...
would have to show like a good cause why they would.
Right,
want
so,
an
but
extension.
that should be part of anything standard, you know? They shouldn't be just open-ended to whenever,
Right.
you know?
Lena, I think that one important factor here is that, and clearly it was in the developer's best interest to do so, but we, the city, did not meet the terms of that contract, which meant that the developer then had the ability to sue us. So
I understand,
the
there's a- but-
legalities and the cost of a litigation.
Yeah, unfortunately, it makes Bayonne look like a bunch of screwballs nonstop.
And so,
you know?
and please keep in mind that while we are certainly tasked with what is doing best for our citizens, that encompasses a great many number of things, and one of which is bringing in the right type of developer and development so that it ultimately does benefit the city. And so in reneging on our contracts, that would not put us in a very favorable light with
But
anyone.
why is that allowed to happen?
I wouldn't. Quite
think that's
honestly,
what I'm
I'm
saying.
not
It
sure. This
doesn't,
property
it
was
doesn't seem to add
negotiated
up.
quite some time ago, and the terms of that contract negotiated then as well. And so it seems to me that in this case, this is sort of the lesser of two evils, and we are better served in meeting the terms of the contract at this point in time than going through a full-fledged
Yeah,
litigation.
Bayonne is
Is that
constantly shooting
fair,
themselves in the foot.
Director?
That's what it looks like to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, sir. Stephanie Glover Wilson, 1050 Avenue C. Okay. I understand the lesser of two evils. I understand Bayonne dropped the ball. But now I'm asking you a counter question. She said something about, she meaning Sharon, sorry, that you could put an amendment in that there'll be so many affordable apartments in these new development. Is that true that y'all can do that tonight and put it in, and the person has to have so many apartments?
So many affordable apartments. So it is true that we can pass legislation. What is also true, and what I was going to comment on when it was my turn to talk, but I'll do it now, is that over the past several years, I have put forward essentially 3 measures. Measure 1 was a return to rent control across the board of buildings with units of a certain number, okay? There's a stigma attached to it, wrongfully. What it does is it stabilizes rents throughout the city. It lets the renter know what they can expect as an increase, which gives them peace of mind and some dignity. Next was a affordable housing measure, which is exactly what you're talking about. So I put forward an idea that we include across the board in every redevelopment plan, affordable housing. If you're going to build, and for the sake of this conversation, we'll use numbers, and I'll try to go back and get my details, but if you're going to build a unit, a building of 100 units, you should have 20%, 20 units affordable housing. If you're going to build a building of 40 units, you should have another percentage based on the number of units that go into each building. The third was a workforce housing measure, which is actually a program that exists currently in the county, and it's based on a formulation of your income. They were DOA. Couldn't get them moving.
Who's they? No,
I mean, I mean no disrespect. They need to be moved. They need to be seconded. They need to be fleshed out. The bill needs to then, goes to the law department. We formulate it. We bring it back. There's at least a 60-day process of you introduce something, you vote on it, you work it out, you bring it back to the public, let the public speak on it, and so forth. I'd love to see it happen. And quite frankly, and I think we should be generous, I'd like to see it happen January 1st. I'd like to think we should have this in place for the new year. I've tried for 3 years. It hasn't happened.
Here's my thing.
I think we should do it January 1st.
So before, I want to interject before.
Go ahead.
I think I'm the only one who really spoke to Neil at length about this.
100%, I'll give you
right?
credit for
Okay.
that.
And I'm not against affordable housing. I think we, and I say we because I think it was myself and my colleagues, differed on the number and the percentages. So then I spoke to the law department, and right now, there could be something that could be done. I don't know if it could be done for January 1st, but I did
It can
leave
if
that
y'all
door
want it to be.
open, even
And no,
with you.
honestly, it can if y'all want it to be.
Right. Well, I'm saying, but it's a negotiation that we have to do as a council and make sure it's all legal.
Here's my other thing. Elections are going to be elections, and I get that. I don't know who you guys think are voting for y'all. Anyone that's voting for y'all are making under $70,000 a year, and they have to pay rent. I'm in the process now of trying to move, and honestly, I might be moving out of Bayonne because I can't afford Bayonne. I work for the county. All y'all know that. I run a nonprofit. All y'all know that. I don't make no money at the county. So if I'm paying rent now, $2,500, and I won't go into one of these new buildings with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, when I looked yesterday, it was $5,000. That means I can't stay here no more. So I don't understand why the council, the previous council, and this council, or the next council, start making affordable housing for people that live here. The average person that lives here has 2.3 kids, making under $70,000 a year, and y'all want their vote, but then y'all letting these other people come in, and we can't afford to live here. So make it make sense. I don't know why y'all can't go back there, fight it out, argue it out, whatever you gotta do, put it on, so this new developer can have some affordable housing in Bayonne going forward for any developer that comes into this town. There should be at least 30 to 40% apartments that are affordable. That's common sense. Y'all raise all this money to run these elections, but we can't vote for y'all because we can't live here no more. And I don't think they're gonna vote for y'all behind me. So Jersey City does it, Union City does it, why Bayonne can't do it? Make it mandatory. It's not a hard decision.
So Stephanie, none of us here, I believe, disagree with your reasoning and your heartfelt comments. In fact, I have a report on my desk that I'd be happy to share with you. The issue at hand here is, one, there was an extensive investigation by the state that reported that Bayonne has a sufficient number of affordable housing units, that they're not required, and I do mean required in quotes, to add any additional, right? And I think, and I'm going to have Director Skillender come up in a moment, but I want you to know that we all looked into this very, very closely, or I looked into it very closely. The report also says that the median income and the monthly rental allowance is also within the general population here in Bayonne. And therefore, now I don't know, I'm telling you what the report says, and we looked into it. So therefore, in order for us to mandate that would affect one's ability to get financing in the financial world. And then I'm telling you, the ability here within the city to continue to grow and meet our needs and meet our financial responsibilities, which are growing each and every day, is going to come to a stop. Because then there will be no ability to obtain financing to continue the growth here in Bayonne. And I can assure you right now, we do not have the means in this city to meet our financial obligations without some form of smart continued growth. So that is the way that I understand it. with that, I'm going to ask Director Skillender if he might comment more or expand upon that, because I certainly don't have all the answers, but I at least wanted you to know my thought process and what was done to look into it. I'm
Sure.
sorry, Director.
That's okay. So back to, again, this council had its fourth round obligation for Mount Laurel. With that, again, the state said that the city of Bayonne had a present need obligation to rehabilitate 749 units and not build any new units because we did qualify as an urban aid municipality. Again, oversimplifying the affordable housing process is, those were requirements that the state looked at. When it came to the income line, the federal government publishes by region, where we fall into the Jersey City metropolitan region, on what is the affordable housing. So those are nationally publicized guidelines that discuss income base, rent base on, quote unquote, what is affordable. And now there's different levels of affordable. You have, very low, low, moderate, and then you also have, and that's on the federal level. What the state does is it adds an extra layer in there of workforce housing on there, and they're all tied to the area median income. So the area median income, being in Jersey City, is approximately about $100,000. For workforce housing, it's between 80% to 120% of AMI, so you're making between that range, roughly, $80 to, $110,000 a year. Now that's a state guideline. For the federal purposes, for HUD, affordable housing is your moderate, which is 60 to 80% AMI, and then below 60% is your low to very low. That's important to understand on those, because that allows on these agreements on understanding what the capital stack is. So there are state and federal programs out there where if the developer so chooses to build, there's home funds, other programs out there that they can apply to the state and build. Generally, though, the developers look at what the requirements of the municipality are in order to meet that. And Bayonne is in a very unique situation on, we're ahead of the, affordable curve, because we meet our obligation year and year over again. Unlike other municipalities within Hudson County or the region here, we make sure that we have, an abundance of affordable housing units that we rehab. We make sure that it's also done through the Bayonne Housing Authority. We don't want to, and this is a policy decision that if the council so chooses to change, the administration will agree with that change, but we prefer that the Housing Authority build, run, and operate these affordable units, only because, again, I think there's a better control in place than on rehabbing units, on upkeeping with the rent, upkeeping with the maintenance that goes on with that. Our Housing Authority has a robust rehabilitation program in place. Mandating doing the inclusionary zoning takes that away from the city and pushes that onto the developer. And again, the developer, doesn't have to build those standards to, luxury or, market rate. There's a certain guideline that they have to meet, and generally, depending upon the developer, that's what they build in accordance with the law. So, there's a misnomer on, what affordable is. Jersey City, quite frankly, Hoboken, the more very affluent, regions that are getting the $6,000 to $7,000 a month units we're lumped in with them on the Jersey City metropolitan area are the affordable option. When we did the study, our market rate is workforce housing. It's a tough thing on
If our
getting these
market rate is workforce housing, what would be the danger of mandating it?
Exactly.
The danger of mandating is that at that point, you allow the developer potential opportunities from a financial standpoint to cut out tax incentives that, if it's just market rate, otherwise do. So for argument's sake, under the pilot law, the city cannot collect Section 8 vouchers. That is tax exempt, so on the pilot, that money is exempt. So if it's for argument's sake, for simple math, it's $2,000 a month. There, the tenant is paying $500, and there's a subsidy of $1,500. That $1,500, the city does not collect any pilot payment on. So it's
That
only
is
the
if the
$500.
apartment is Section 8. If the apartment is workforce, which is not under the Section 8 guideline, and I don't want to muddy the waters and suggest that it is fully collectible.
But of how the law is written, I'm just using Section 8 as an example, there's other government programs for subsidies on that the municipality cannot collect a pilot on. So it's just more expansive than just Section 8.
Mr. Solari, you were next, I believe. Right. Thank you, Ms. Glover. Ms. Wilson.
You know, it was a good show with all the numbers, because it kind of put me to sleep. But affordable housing, I remember when I was building some buildings in this town, contractors and builders had to give so much money from their project to build affordable housing in this town.
It's still that way. It's
right,
still that way.
it probably still does. Haven't seen any buildings going up for affordable housing. Unless you make $5,000, you could afford $5,000 a month. Kushner Realty, their fourth floor is $5,000-$6,000 a month. Their studio, $2,100 a month. And that's the developer I worked for. All right, nice guys. I won't talk bad about them. But Trummer Crow, his buildings, the Alexan, he's up near $6,000 a month. And he has almost every building going down the river up to the George Washington Bridge. You got to stop with this building. This contractor, does he have a tax abatement? Yes or no? And how long was this tax abatement going for? Since 2016?
Pilot you talking about?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever you call
they
it, tax
do-
abatement.
Well, they do have a financial agreement. It doesn't kick in until the project is built and they start to become occupied.
So has he been paying taxes on that property whatsoever?
He doesn't own the property. With tonight's action, at least as it relates to Phase 1, property will be sold.
Has he dropped the shovel? Did he put a shovel in the ground? Did he put a shovel in the ground? Yes or no?
No, because he does not own the property.
Who removed the soil?
The city.
Okay. So this contractor's coming in. He has the property since 2006. We've been holding the property for him since 2016? And we couldn't sell it to somebody else?
No, we had a contract with him. He's a designated redeveloper.
Okay.
Okay. He took on the risk of the development. We had an obligation to deliver him good, clean title.
No, I
clean
understand
piece
that.
of property. We haven't done that yet. We are going to be closing on this property, Phase 1, and he will have a continued obligation for all the subsequent phases.
So since 2016 to now, we got no tax money whatsoever for that property?
Correct, because we could not,
What's coming out
correct,
of my
'cause
pocket, his pocket, her pocket, and everybody else's pocket here?
we couldn't convey it to this developer or any other developer for that matter.
Another question. Hundreds, 1,000 units he's going to build? 7, well, whatever. Where are the cars going? Before he even starts, you better be putting a traffic light there first. Because I tell you right now, Tommy, you did a wonderful job. I commend you on that. I'm doing the work down there. Yes, you, the police department, but I tell you one thing. You don't get a traffic light there, I commend the police department because they're almost getting hit over there.
It's true.
Look on Richie Met's Facebook pages. He laughs
I think we've all seen
And
your-
well, I laugh when I see it. I only asked for delineators to go straight up the middle. I didn't ask to change the traffic pattern. But now you're forced to put a traffic light there before anybody builds.
The plan is for a traffic light, it's still waiting for DOT approval. And the actions that they did, yes, there's some backup still, it's not good, it's a
Some.
Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid.
Some.
But the truth of the matter is less action.
It goes to Wendy's.
So,
At 5 o'clock, it goes to
I
Wendy's.
get it, I understand. I understand.
And if
There's-
we're-
there's
and if-
also
since
some
we have the
roads that
developers
aren't
down there-
developed down there, there's a number of different things that are going to happen along the way in different phases.
Now, the last meeting I was here, the developer down on 4th Street is paying for the traffic light. How many developers do we have down the MOT in the past 10 years? We couldn't get 30, 40,000, 50,000 from each one of them? That traffic light should have been, Gary, you know for a fact that traffic light should have been back in there in 2010.
Even uptown, and I pushed for that, by the way. I had the police do the study. Before Costco was there, they said it didn't warrant a traffic light, and I knew.
But
we
you
all
had
knew
a
it was
survey
coming.
saying that you were 90%, 95% full before Costco went in. Before KRE put them 3 buildings
But
up,
there was-
them traffic lights should have been in place.
Again, I don't want to go back and forth with you and argue, and I'm not
Because
saying
you know
you're
I'm right.
wrong. Listen,
That's the problem. You know I'm right.
Tom, I'm just going to explain to you what you asked me first. You asked me about developers paying for lights.
Right.
I have money going towards a light uptown where the crossing guard was hit on 56th Street.
I understand that.
Developers paying into that. So yes, we do.
Oh, so we have to wait for, okay. The citizens of Bayonne, just remember, Gary LaBlue said you got to buy a car first, so you get a traffic light down near Costco.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
That's
You're
really
welcome.
not right. That's really not right for you to say that, you
Right,
know?
Tom, I just want to mention to you that this is a problem that we are currently working on. But it is a problem that existed before this administration took office. We inherited that issue. We do not, well, and that may very well be, but I don't know the severity. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know the severity of the issue back then. I know only what has been in place right now. But I do recognize that it is a problem. I think we all do. And I don't disagree with your comment that, yes, that we should perhaps be able to get all of the developers together. And I actually mentioned that to a couple of our developers just last week, oddly enough, at Gary's event, that perhaps we might get together. And one personal favor that I would ask for is for contributions towards a traffic light there. But I do know we are also mandating that the developers in that area are reworking the traffic pattern, are adding additional roads, are paying for the cost of those roads, as well as our water and sewer issues associated with that. So there's a lot of negotiations and a lot of moving parts. And believe it or not, before we have the ability to put up a traffic light, the Department of Transportation has to approve that for us. So just saying there is a need certainly is enough for me, but it is not enough for everyone. So, and we're not, I don't want to have I'm welcome a conversation with you anytime, but
Okay.
not across the
All right,
room.
Mr. Desmond?
I'm sorry,
Mr. Desmond?
Hello, Pat Desmond, 131 West 4th Street. I just want to ask, is all the developers down there have what you're asking for?
Affordable housing? It hasn't been mandated.
So nobody has it, but you're trying to make this guy do it. Is that fair? I mean, what are you doing here? You should have done that from the very first developer. You can't start at the end and then, what about the rest of them? And you know that I'm not against rent control or any of that. I'm the one that did the petition for it. So,
Which I was with
So
you,
let's-
going door to door
yes,
for that.
yes.
And in lieu of a new building, we're rehabbing 750, and that's coming out of that affordable trust fund.
I understand that,
So
but
there's
for
other
years, they were
things
able
that
to
are being
sell,
spent on, but there
to
was a
sell the
building on
affordable
Hobart
housing, right?
Avenue.
You were able to
There's
take your
several buildings
affordable
that were
housing
built.
and sell it,
Right.
correct?
Oak Street is a new project.
All the
with
towns were doing
affordable
that,
housing.
and it all ended up in Camden or something, right? That's where all the affordable housing ended up. So you can't start with one developer. I mean, you got to start somewhere, I get it, but you should have done it with all of them. You can't start with Borai and say, hey, you got to be the guy that takes all the affordable housing. You know what I mean?
I get it.
He's already negotiated a contract with him. You can't tell, but from
Well, And Neil, we've publicly said that we don't agree with him, but we can agree to disagree.
Listen, I mean, I'm
without
not
being-
against affordable housing,
You know,
but let's
and I
be
said the
fair
same
here.
thing. It's percentages that maybe we have to negotiate, we have to talk about.
Yeah, you just go to bring all the developers in and say, hey, can't just go to one and say, you're taking it all.
You bring up a strong point. To briefly address it, that's why I called for a January 1st this time, but over the past years where I've been introducing different bills that have died at various reasons or apathy or lack of coming up with a different plan, I would say I've got the bona fides to say, you know, I'm going back years. I'm not just saying do it today. And since there was no...
No, I know, we talked about it.
But also, as opposed to just saying, well, why this guy and not that guy, since there is obviously, or there was obviously no will, where there's a will, there's a way, and there was no will to accomplish it holistically, I have put it forward individually. So that's the explanation of why I...
No, I get it, but, I mean, to put it all on one guy, like, you gotta take all the affordable housing, at this point, you know.
If I can,
Yeah.
Council President, two things. Number one, on the affordable housing, any of the existing RDAs have a prescription against affordable housing in them. So it's got to be anything and everything going forward where an RDA hasn't been approved. I understand Neil and I have hour-long conversations on just this topic all the time. And as frustrated as he is, I have walked him through the solve for all this, and it's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's a long-term solution. And it involves multiple agencies, and it involves being able to count to 3 up here so that you have 3 votes on something. And I think in the long run, this can be effectuated. Given the fact that we've seen a tremendous, like in the past 10 years, let's face it, more stuff has gone through the sluice in Bayonne than anywhere else in the state of New Jersey. Yeah, and we're way better off because of it from a development and financial standpoint than if we just did nothing as we were doing from 2000 to 2015 or 14. I don't know what Bayonne would look like now. The second part, with respect to the traffic concern, the traffic light especially, we had about a 90-minute, Mary Jane, conversation, a Zoom call with too many people to keep track of on the screen on Monday, I believe it was, to talk about how we're going to ease the traffic patterns and the problems that are being exacerbated by the fact that we have more people in one area. And, you know, I venture to say 30 years ago, if you thought we'd have a traffic problem on 169 with people going down there, we would have laughed. I mean, this is a not pleasant but good problem to have, that these places are being frequented and people are eager to come to Bayonne and live in Bayonne, because there was a long period of time where business certainly wasn't coming here and people didn't want to live here. So we've turned that corner. Now we have to address the real issues that are attendant to this type of growth, and that's traffic patterns. And I can tell you that there was nobody at the end of the meeting on Monday that was happy, which is probably the right thing. Everybody's going to have to give a little bit, and we have to figure out what the best solution is. And sometimes you implement the solution, and then the theory of unintended consequences kicks in, and you find out there are other problems. So, I mean, we could put a light there, as Tommy, I think, is rightly suggesting. But if we put a light there, we don't know if that's going to cause other problems. But we'll find out, and then you deal with it.
How about put shuttle buses with each development down there? Let them use shuttle buses, move people back and forth to the light rails, stuff like that.
I can tell you that's something that over the years, there's a special improvement district established, although not effectuated, down there already. And as the buildings filled up, the discussions about, okay, how can we move people from one end to the other? How can we move people from the light rail to their units? How can we move people from light rail to the ferry and back? Those are all real conversations. The problem is you can't do it ahead of time. It's almost like the cart has to go before the horse sometimes. And you know, we've shown if you build it, they will come. And now we have to figure out how to get them in and out they've come.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. Thank you.
And Mr. President, may I say something? Mr. Desmond, listen, I agree with what you're saying, and I just wanted, from the record, I sit here and I listen to all the conversations and the concerns about the city, and I agree with you. However, I want to understand one thing, that I want it to be known that this council, and many, many times in conversation, we're not sitting here, and some of us silently are disagreeing with affordable housing. So I want that to be understood. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of moving parts and everything that's being done with these developments. I'm not even going to sit here and conversate and blame past administrations. We all knew what we did when we got out there and ran and voted for these seats. What we did is we inherited those situations. We're trying to work with them diligently and respectfully and being informative. And I don't want to sit here quietly and think that I do not want people having affordable housing in this town, simply because I come from affordable housing, so I know what it's like. And I sat down with the developer, I'm sorry, not the developer, Mr. Director, Skillender, and we talked about affordable housing. He went over the stats, and we meet all the requirements. So we're not sitting down just blatantly saying, no, we don't want affordable housing. So I want my colleagues and the public to understand that we're looking forward to it.
Right, and it's a big deal to rehab 750 affordable housing units already that are already out there. So it takes a lot of money for that, so.
Council President, one thing, if I may just add in here, and if anybody's looked at the agenda, we actually do have an agenda item at CR 18.
Yes.
It is actually listed as a shared service agreement between the City of Bayonne, the Bayonne Housing Authority. It actually is going to the exact points that have been discussed here. It's actually an agreement that's in place. It's part of our fourth round plan, our fair share plan. It authorizes us to work with Bayonne Housing Authority to use those monies that we collect on our commercial projects that are in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund to fund projects, rehabilitation projects, special needs housing projects with various groups that the city's been working on as well.
Council President,
Yes, Ms. B.A.
I pushed for CR 18. I've been pushing. It is the mechanism by which we are able to utilize the credits, which are dollars, from the rehabbing of units. So we built a bank of credits of dollars, which are now at a point where we can start utilizing them. We are doing two things at once. We are rehabbing existing affordable housing and looking to build new. What the town is missing is new units. This interlocal allows us to work with John Mahan and the Bayonne Housing Authority, their expertise in developing housing, and he's also very good at maintaining and monitoring housing. He's got the skill set. He's our agent in this matter, but that's CR 18.
Thank you, Ms. Desmond.
Anyone else on 05?
Mr. Ryan? You'll be next. You'll be next.
Just wanted to respond to a couple points that were made. I certainly recognize the importance of a need for transportation on the former military ocean terminal. I would point out that when Joe Doria was mayor, he actually intervened to have a train saved exactly for that purpose, and it sat in the light rail yard in Jersey City for many years. Unfortunately, the development hadn't arrived in a very rapid manner, so eventually the train was given away. It's only several years later that we now have enough development that might actually justify the use of that train. Unfortunately, it's gone, but I just wanted to point out this was an issue that Mayor Doria foresaw many years ago and tried to do something about it. Unfortunately, the development at that time was not enough to justify building a train line, but the concept was thought of.
The trolley as well, if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. And another issue, a speaker earlier said that 90% of the former military ocean terminal is contaminated. My recollection is that in 2006, the New Jersey DEP said there was no further action needed. The majority of the acreage was not contaminated, but a significant minority of it was. The MOT was built in phases. It wasn't all built the same way from the same substance. So there's no one-size-fits-all about it. As I recall, there was a lot of gunk that seeped into the ground when the military had the property, and that needed to be cleaned up. But not all of the property there was contaminated. not 90%, but certainly a significant minority of the property was contaminated.
Thank you. Mr. Perry?
Gene Perry, 77A Hobart Avenue. Just to piggyback on what Ms. Glover said earlier, and Mr. Skillender, Mary Jane, you just addressed one of the questions I had. There are only 800 housing apartments available in the city. I have a friend that I went to grammar school with. She's on the list. The waiting list is 7 years to get into housing, and she's ready to move into the street right now. So we need to do something here. What is the estimated income or the rental for these new properties going up, down? Because, like you said,
There's more than 800 units of.
I closed my windows, I wore a mask outside. Now I want to sell my house because I'm tired of the scrap metal yard, which I'll go back to later. I can't afford $4,500 to live on 12th Street and Broadway for a single-family apartment. This is ridiculous. What these buildings are getting away with is just pure, it's theft. I'm sorry. There's nothing in Bayonne worth $4,800 anymore for a one-bedroom apartment.
Yes, Mike.
Mike Pasigno, 42 West 23rd Street. The development of the Montby, and everybody now, it's gone almost, well, it's down to Boulevard, Lincoln Boulevard, right there at the turn where the UPS is. And it started out, you know, small, and it's gotten big. The walkways have been fabulous. And they just finished the one by the LA Fitness, now continues all the way down. It's almost complete all the way up to the Lincoln Boulevard or Lincoln Terminal right there by the UPS. I'm here to mention with the developers and everything, and I know there's a lot they do, they've taken that area and it's turned into, it's magnificent. The wildlife there has been actually, they're going to come, you know, and it hasn't been destroyed. It's, we still get the horseshoe crabs there. The bird population has increased. And I'm looking for maybe the developers, and I know there's a lot of issues with the developers, then they pay for a lot of it. But we do need for the public to have water access to the Bayonne Inlet. And if developers, I know I've talked to a few of them, everybody's the big boys, and they're willing to do it. And again, if everybody, like I said, are trying to get them to sit down, because it helps their property too, and it does help the public. And Bayonne residents and the public must really enjoy this new opening. I mean, and you can go there from early morning to late at night. You see the pictures, everybody's out taking the sunsets. So it's been good things with this development area. And I'm bringing up the water access point for kayaking, which people can also kayak to New York then, if we have access to the water, if the ferry's taking so long. But truly, because people are fishing there already, people are putting kayaks in it already, and if we do get a water access point, and the developers, I'm sure, will want to do that, it will be safety. Safety is important, because we don't want anything bad to happen in that sense that they will not be allowed to it. And the ferry's coming in and it's bringing up on his agenda, and they also could be part of having public access to that water, because they're going to be having access to it, that the public needs to put their kayaking vessels in there, and to fish and bird watch and enjoy what the development has brought. It's brought in great wildlife to the Bayonne area that was once totally contaminated.
Thank you, Mike.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close? On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. She sat down. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
She's here. She's back. Ms. Weimer, there is a motion on the table to close the hearing for 05. How do you vote? Just closing the hearing.
In favor.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
All right, I'll be as brief as possible. There's a lot to unpack. There was talk, many people spoke. At some point, somebody mentioned the pause in development. I was the individual who called for the pause. I was happy to get support from the council to do it. There was also a study involved. I don't think, or I think that a pause now, especially with respect to what I read in the documents here, that this is based off a 2000 master plan study. I'd like to see it based off one from 2025 or 2026, and I think we should consider reopening the plan, accomplishing a plan, setting it to law, and then that way it would significantly reduce the amount of these items that actually come before us, because either you conform or you don't conform. Next, I am voting against this. It represents a change. I think someone else from the audience mentioned that times have changed, and with the times come new things. There's new development down there. It's the same reason I voted against the 50-story building at a location near to there. It's another same reason why I voted against the 10-story building on 25th Street, at which time I had to convince people that there was significant human interaction and traffic in that 4-square corner. We also had to have, and I'm thankful that the police were able to be there, especially at the let out of school, to police the area and make sure that it is safe for the amount of people that are going through there just today, let alone when we make improvements or when improvements are made there. Traffic on the base. And it was unfair, the characterization of the council president, and I do want to defend you there. You have been a diehard advocate for that traffic light.
Thank you.
It is necessary, it is needed, improvements have been made there today, but more is needed. And before we go forward with massive substantive change, we need to have a better plan. And the word plan's been used many times now. Down to affordable housing. Ms. Glover, you were given the same very polite, long-winded, and educated brush off that I've been given for some time.
And didn't appreciate it either.
Well, fair enough. And the answer is yes, it can be done. To be for it, but not to put forward a plan for it, is akin to being against it. You either show your work on the test or you fail the test. And so it's a failure at this stage in the game in 2025, December, what month are we in? November. I would say, and I'm glad Jay's here, before we lose you, Jay, because I think you were the only guy who got it when I said it. And I'll repeat it, and everyone can make fun of me again. I likened the situation to Herbert Hoover, because everybody at that time said, there's not going to be a problem. Don't worry. Business will bail us out. Business will take care of it. The government doesn't have to make laws, doesn't have to set restrictions, doesn't have to step in. And the world collapsed. Now, I'm not Chicken Little. I'm not saying the sky's falling, but I'm glad I got a second chance to bring that example up, because everyone keeps saying, well, they'll do it. Of course they'll work with union labor. Of course they'll put in affordable housing because they might get tax credits to do so. Well, here we are, and it's not happening. So we need an FDR, not a Herbert Hoover. The government, if you try something and it doesn't work, admit it and try something else. But try. We haven't tried. CR 18 was mentioned. There's going to be affordable housing. This represents potentially new affordable housing. And it is fantastic to get a new building or project. But again, I would love to see my neighbors living in new buildings, living in beautiful buildings, living in all parts of town, as opposed to being relegated to one area simply because that's the one building in town that'll accommodate it. And that's how I feel about those measures. I vote no.
Mr. Perez?
Well, Herbert Hoover was the one that says 2 chickens in every pot and 2 cars in every garage, and nobody saw it. I mean, you can go out there and campaign and you can say your slogans, but I'm going to tell you right now that Mr. Booker and Mrs. Weimer pointed out exactly how we feel here. We are for affordable housing, but there's situations that we have to deal with before we get those affordable housing. And it's not that easy, but we are trying. We're not here quietly. We're trying. We're trying very hard. And Also, my president of city council is there also advocating for this. So no chicken in every pot, no two chickens every pot, and no two cars in every garage. Thank you. I vote aye.
Ms. Weimer?
Stephanie, I certainly hope you didn't feel as if you were brushed off by any means. That's not the intent, that's never the intent, but there are circumstances around, and again, this is not, I want to point out to everyone, this is not a new problem. Okay, why was this not considered when that development was first initiated? I know that Pat said, and he said it perhaps in the most, Pat Desmond, in the most simplistic of ways, how could you single out or discriminate against one builder when that wasn't taken into consideration in prior years? So did our prior administrations not have the foresight that there would be a need or a requirement for affordable housing or for an allocation to affordable housing, or that the influx of traffic in that area would not require a greater amount of planning and transportation services outside of Mayor Doria, who was a wonderful man in my eyes, or what I remember of him. So nevertheless, there are a tremendous amount of things to consider and various circumstances that all have implications that we have to take into consideration. And I suspect that's perhaps why prior administrations didn't address the need or meet it. But nevertheless, I would hope that no citizen ever felt as if they were pushed off, and I would have thought that no council member would have initiated that thought. But nevertheless, I do think that we are at a point where we need to make a decision with regards to this ordinance. I think it all is related to the prior one. I would love to see an allocation for some sort of affordable housing, but this is not the point in time to do that. And it is disingenuous to go back to that planning now, when we are at the point where they are ready to move forward. And again, this was a contract that was entered into, I want to say it was about 10 years ago. So I think all of that should have been taken into consideration then, with the administration that was in place then. Nevertheless, Madeline, with that, I vote aye.
Mr. La Palusa?
I think we've all stressed that we want affordable housing. Even workforce housing, we're not afraid of that. I think we differed on the amounts, and Mr. Carroll, you may have been the one who spoke the most about it, but I'm definitely second, between you and Jay and even my colleagues. So there is some common ground. We aren't there yet. We're still working at it. Nobody's silent about it. Everybody wants this to happen. And I truly believe it's going to happen. But I think we need to all sit down and negotiate something that's fair to the town, fair to developers, and mostly fair to the people who need that housing. And so with that, I'll vote aye.
Okay. 06 is an ordinance approving the financial agreement by and between the city and Shanty 5 Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 562-568 Broadway, which is designated Block 184, Lots 1, 2, and 3, as shown on the official tax map. It was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record, posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th. Is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa. He stepped down. Okay. So, sorry. No problem. Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne approving the financial agreement by and between the city and Shanty 5 Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 562-568 Broadway, which is designated Block 184, Lots 1, 2, and 3, as shown on the official tax map of the city. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
I don't know, is this the one that was just approved at the planning board the other day? No. Oh, okay. I'm just asking how many units is it? That's quite simple. I don't have the whole ordinance. 110? Okay. And how many years? 25.
So,
I didn't ask, that's all I have. I need nothing else. I don't need a song and a dance.
So just for the public's, information and to the council's benefit, we have Dan Bankert from NW Financial who can go through the memo that was prepared for the council and to the public to kind of go through and walk through the project on how we came up with the assumptions for the 25-year pilot on a 110-unit building here on Broadway.
Thank you, Joe. Dan Banker, NW Financial. So the memo dated October 7th, 2025. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I will walk through the memo, and if you have any questions as I go through, please feel free to ask them. So as asked, this project will be a 9-story, 110-unit residential project. It will also include 2,896 square feet of retail space and a total of 115 parking spaces. The unit mix of the residential component will consist of 11 studios, 66 one-bedrooms, and 33 two-bedrooms. As we do in all of our analyses, we take a look at the developer's projections to determine if their rent assumptions, expense assumptions are appropriate for today's market. And in this case, we looked at comparables within 5 buildings in the surrounding area, and we increased their rents by approximately 2.5%. So we're projecting studios at $2,250, one bedrooms at $2,750, and two bedrooms at $3,490. The developer is expecting operating expenses of about $550,000 a year. That's the equivalent of $5,000 per unit. What I will say is that is a very low number for a project of this size. Typically, we see pro formas and audited financials that suggest a much higher per unit expense number. However, we're using the developer's assumption there. The total project cost is estimated to be about a little over $53 million. That's including a land purchase price of $4.3 million, which comes out to about $39,000 per unit, which is in line with other comparable properties and buildings of this size. That also includes a community benefit payment that was negotiated of $110,000. In addition to a pocket park that they will be building that's estimated to cost $316,000. As for most projects, a portion of the total project cost will come from debt. It's estimated that 70% of the project cost will come from debt. The other 30% will be developer equity. So that's about $16 million in developer equity and $37 million in private loan. Before we consider a pilot of any kind, we look at the project under a conventional tax scenario. If the project is considered feasible, we would not recommend a pilot. In this case, we looked at the project under conventional taxes. Conventional taxes are estimated to be about $825,000 for this completed project. And the various metrics that we use to determine feasibility suggest that a subsidy of some kind is necessary. Just to go quickly through it, the project would be worth $3 million roughly less when it was built under conventional taxes than it costs to build. The other metrics like internal rate of return, yield on cost are well below the standard market returns that provide for an efficient or sufficient return to get a project built. And lastly, the debt service coverage ratio is at a level that would suggest that it would not be able to obtain the appropriate and enough funding to build the project. So for all those reasons, we conclude that the project is unlikely to move forward under conventional taxes. Then we go to the pilot scenario. The developer originally requested a 30-year pilot which would be at 10% of gross revenue for the first 25 years and would increase to 11% for the final 5 years. After negotiations, that pilot term was reduced from 30 to 25 years, and the 10% pilot lasts for the first 15 years, and the 11% lasts for the final 10. In addition, we have negotiated a more aggressive phase-in of conventional taxes. We've talked about this in the past, but the pilot calculation is based on the greater of a percentage of gross revenue and a percentage of otherwise applicable taxes. Otherwise applicable taxes meaning what the project would pay under conventional taxes. And that aggressive phase-in consists of the final 5 years at 80% of conventional taxes. So in years 21 through 25, it will be the greater of 11% of gross revenue or 80% of conventional taxes. Right now, just to show the benefit to the city, right now the 3 lots generate about $34,000 in tax revenue, of which the city share is about $15,000, as the city keeps about 45%, school gets 37%, county gets 18%. Under this proposed pilot, at stabilization, once it's 95% leased up, the pilot is estimated to be approximately $425,000, of which the city share will be about $404,000. Looking at it over a 25-year period, this project under the proposed pilot, assuming a 2% annual rent increase over the 25-year term, is projected to generate $16 million in pilot revenue, of which $15.6 million will be the city share. The rest will go to the county for their 5%. And we also did a fiscal impact analysis to determine the number of residents and school children that may be generated by this project, to determine if there's a net benefit. Will the pilot revenues outweigh the costs associated with the new residents and school children? And that analysis suggests that when accounting for the new resident and school children cost, the annual net benefit from the pilot will be about $350,000 a year, and that number increases as rents increase and as the percentage of annual gross revenue increases and as the phasing of conventional taxes comes into play. So our analysis suggests that the net benefit of this project over the 25-year period will be just under $14 million for the city. And with that, I'll answer any questions anyone has.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Baker? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Lena Drillman, 189 West 27th Street. It's not a direct question to all of that numbers there, but I'm just concerned about the changing demographics in Bayonne, just like general concern. I own my own home free and clear, so I'm okay, but listen to some of these numbers of rentals, it's just astonishing. So I don't know who's going to be able to pay that rent. I'm assuming mostly younger people. And also the fact that with rentals, you're talking about a transient population. People have no real roots in Bayonne. They just can come and go one year to the next. There's no real community in that, or there's no guarantee of community. It's not like a condo or co-op where you feel like you own some piece of anything. So it encourages also just maybe not the kind of people we want to see necessarily. And of course, the parking problem, you walk down any street in Bayonne, you're struck by the amount of pollution that the smell of the car, the vehicles. I also have issue with parking lots underneath buildings because the fumes from the cars will go up. Nobody really addresses that, just a quality of life thing. But I'm concerned as I'm getting older that I certainly wouldn't be able to afford these kind of rents. I don't know where people like me would expect it to go once you retire. So that's just a general comment.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Mattis.
Janice Mattis, 624 Avenue E. I have a question for Ms. Wimmer. You mentioned something about that you cannot meet the responsibility. You made a statement sometime back. that
Okay,
you-
but generally, you ask the question when that comes up in the
Okay.
agenda. This is a totally different thing.
No,
And-
this,
and you
in
have to ask
general.
the question through
In
the chair.
general. In
Not-
general.
Not just for
Okay.
separate council people.
Okay, if you're talking about financial responsibility, then what are all of these apartments, that are down at Motby and all over the place? Are they all rented, or are a lot of them vacant?
So they did an absorption study.
Mm-hmm.
And the absorption study came above the state average. The state average was a little over 92%.
Okay.
And they're, I think, around 96% rented
Okay,
for the newer buildings.
okay. So if you have that, and you're not meeting financial responsibilities for the city of Bayonne, what makes anyone think that building more apartment buildings is going to solve the problem?
I don't understand what you mean we're not meeting financial responsibilities. We are.
Okay,
And the whole reason that we do these financial agreements is because the city gets more money than traditional taxes. And that's why we do these pilots, to get more money so we can try and balance our budget.
I'm trying to balance your budget, but you're,
We do
apparently
balance
it's
our budget.
not.
Every year, we balance our budget. We had a $26 million deficit at one point, which I'm very proud to say that this council helped wipe that out.
Okay. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Second.
On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. No. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
07 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 13, recreational and other public facilities, was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record, posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Booker, will you second? Second. On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 13, recreation and other public facilities. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Mr. Drowsky?
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. I think I seen part of this, but I don't have the ordinance in full. Can you just explain? I think we're requiring insurance to use any of our fields or anything? I think.
So this was really written so that it gives the police a little more withstanding to deal with mental health issues with people who are possibly sleeping in the parks or, what's that?
No,
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Thought
I thought it said.
Sorry, thought I
okay.
heard something.
I think they opened the door.
So it gives the police a little more jurisdiction to do things with people who are basically homeless or sleeping in a park.
Totally.
And it allows them to let the people seek help, mental health.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're
Just
welcome.
didn't really know what it was about.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move it.
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
08 is amending Chapter 7 Traffic, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held October 15th, was published in the Bergen Record and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of November 12th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president giving the ordinance second reading. Mr. Booker, will you second? On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move.
And a motion to close, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Our first speaker is Ms. Nadrowski.
So since I spoke first, there were a lot of comments made on my things, and I didn't get to readdress them because you don't get a second bite at the apple, so this is my second bite. So I just want to talk quickly about a few things. I know, just want to address, Ms. Weimer kept mentioning the prior administration, which she's definitely referring to me, who questioned that. But I wasn't sitting there alone. Gary's been the longest-serving council person for 15 years. You're finishing up. Juan's been there 12 years. Neil, you're 7.5? Yeah, okay. Gary, Jackie, and Lloyd are just about almost 40 years. That agreement, I'm 100% on that I approved that war ride. And why there wasn't affordability? Because like we said, it was in 2016. There was nothing else down there. We hadn't built anything. We had the $24 million deficit at that time. We were trying to dig out of that, which, like Mr. La Palusa just said, you have zero deficit right now. That was the answer to the question. That was when asked about, I have that written on my paper too, financial responsibilities, because I did hear that term exactly as that being used when voting yes on the development, the Boride development, which I honestly have no problem. I just don't think we have the infrastructure to support it. So we're saying no finance. We did say financial responsibilities, and that was the reason. And I hear you say that we meet our budget every year because we keep increasing taxes every year. We can't keep selling off one things. And I know I vote on them, but there comes a time, right, where you have to stop. Like, just simple thing, I used to run marathons. Now I'm, 30 years later, I'm not running a marathon anymore because the circumstances change, right? My joints say they don't want to do it. Well, our roads and our parking says we can't sustain this, right? So you have to adjust and go with what you're on your plate now. So yeah, I did do a lot of those developments, but that was when we had a $24 million deficit, and that's what got us out of that. But let me tell you, there were a lot done in the last 3.25 years, and there wasn't a deficit that was trying to be fixed. So there were very different circumstances. So I'm going to justify what I did, and I own it. I never say I don't. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't rerun with the administration, because as things changed, the administration didn't want to. They forgot the terms that what we ran on, right? We forgot residents before developers. You guys should try to remember that. And I heard someone mention Journal Square. Unfortunately, people say, oh, we're not Jersey City, we can't charge that much per door. But it looks like you're trying to be Jersey City, not in a good way. because it's looking like Journal Square down there. Journal Square is nothing but a bunch of big buildings that no one had a plan for. They're all around there. There's no long-term plan. And that's what our base is starting to look like. That was a gift to us. And it just really doesn't look like there's any cohesiveness down there. So that, and one other thing. And Mr. Coffey, I'm glad, he walked away. Mr. Coffey, who don't live in Bayonne, but lives in Oceanport, doesn't have the same problems. But I'm glad he found it laughable about the traffic problems, because that was his exact word. It's laughable that we have that problem, because it's a good problem. Because those of us who commute every day and have to go that way, it's really not laughable, or the people that live down there. So I don't find it laughable. Thank you.
Mr. Perry?
Gene Perry, 77A Hobart Avenue. Two things. The delineators, home saying all right, Director Cotty did a great job. I'd like the city council to see, possibly get with Director Kubert. 11th Street was made a no left turn street onto Avenue E. Unfortunately, people in this town don't understand what no left turn means, and they continue to go through it. Could delineators be put there to stop it? I mean, we made that a no left for one reason. We had 3 motorcycle accidents, I believe, on 12th Street, where the bikers were killed. So if you put the delineators up, I'm hoping they don't try to do what they do down Costco and make that left-hand turn. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Bayonne Fire Department for the response, and Junior Ferranti especially for his phone call on 10/28 for the fire at my son's house, next to my son's house, which probably saved their lives getting out that night. Another issue on downtown still, scrap trucks. We need to have, if we're going to deal with this Mr. Scrap guy for the rest of our lives down there, we might as well have the signs up. The trucks do not know where to go. They're stopping, they're going up to Mary J. Donahue, making a left on Lord, making a left on Lexington. Something needs to get done. Also, I called in about the scrapyard. Trucks are not using their covers the way they're supposed to use. I don't want to speak too much on that, but from what I understand, the ordinance has changed. So if we can please look into that matter. And then secondly, and this is for Chief Weaver, and this is a valid question. Last week, the scrapyard was in full force with no water. 4 residents were there. We called Hudson County Regional. No one showed up. I called the Bayonne Fire Department. And I just want to know, is that an issue for the fire department? Do want to be called before the fire starts? Because it's going to happen again if they don't use water. Who enforces the water? Is it the council? I mean, the city or the state? Because by the time the state shows up, you have a fire that's going to burn for 12 more hours again. It's not fair to the fire department. And that's all I have this evening.
We'll take a look into that.
Thank you.
Mr. Perry, question. When you say, is it the tarp that they're not putting on the truck?
From what I understand, the tarps are no longer, they don't have to put them on all
It's
the
a
way.
state statute.
As long as it's not blowing out of the back of the truck, they're not in violation. So
It's
I'd
not
like to look
protruding.
into, because they're not coming in with, and the stuff's blowing all over downtown. Plus, as they're coming downtown.
Well, that's a state violation that they
I
do,
understand
they should
that,
give,
but they're getting away with
receiving
it.
summonses. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you.
And can we,
I'm only home 2 days a week, but yes, I will get pictures next time I'm outside.
Mr. Solari?
He's home 2 days a week, he said something.
Tom Solari, 8 West Grand Street. I'd like to, my honors to the Marine at the end. Army, well, same thing. You had a gun. Yeah, you had a gun. But I'd like to commend Pete Amadeo. Anytime you give him something to do, he gets an idea, he runs with it. If it wasn't for Pete, Bayonne would never be on the map in the state of New Jersey. He did a great job. Police department, fire department, public works, coming out, doing what they have to do. Talking about all this stuff that's going on in this town, it's not getting better. You might think it's getting better. It's not. Traffic's outrageous. The Bayonne Police Department's working harder than ever down near Costco. Pretty soon, these cops are going to get hit. And I don't want to see any of these guys getting hit by a car. Drivers don't care. You got out-of-state drivers down there. I brought this up last week. Parking authority's not down there. I've been down there today for 4 hours. Did not once see a parking authority car come down and look at the Texas plates, New York plates, Virginia plates, Maryland. No tickets down there. What, they forgot about the unforbidden city? The unforgotten city over there? They could go up and down them streets. All them blocks down there. They could make a ton of money down there on tickets. During ship days, just have, the cops can even sit there, watch the people park alongside them townhouses that are down there. And walking out there with their luggage, walking down to the ship. Parking up into the parking lots. Doing the same thing. Taking a shuttle bus down there. Somebody brought up about, I think Pat brought up about shuttle buses. Every one of them buildings down there have their own shuttle buses to take their people to Jersey City, Grove Street, Pavonia Pad Station, anywhere they want to go. But, you know, that's still not enough. There's too many buildings, too many cars. Somebody's definitely going to get hurt down there. And I said this once before. Somebody's going to get killed. That family's going to come after the city, and it's going to cost us millions of dollars. And I don't think you just want to spend millions of dollars. Probably cost $130,000, $200,000 for a traffic light. It's cheaper to put a traffic light up than paying millions of dollars to some family, you know. And low-income housing, Neil, I agree with you 100%. We need it. It's just getting 1, 2, 3, 4, and the guy up in the front to say yes. So, on that note, good night.
Mr. Resigno?
Good evening, Mike Pasigno, 42 West 23rd Street. I'm announcing there will be a shoreline cleanup this Saturday, November 15th, at the area we are all talking about what we love so much, at the Harbor View Marketplace, which is right across from Lidl, I guess it's pronounced Lidl, and the old gatehouse, which was the entrance to the military terminal. And we're trying to keep that waterfront area clean, and we need some volunteers. And it's interesting because when you do a cleanup, you get to actually see what's getting in the water and why it's getting in and how. And you will notice that when you go shopping at Lidl in that area, if you leave that little grocery flyer in the basket and your little fruit plastic bag that you're supposed to fill with all these goodies, and then you go in your car and leave that in that shopping cart, it winds up in Bayonne Inlet. And that is what we pull out most of the time. So I'm asking everybody if they can come out and volunteer Saturday. Rain or snow will cancel it. The cleanup starts at 9 a.m. and it's till 11 a.m. You can come for 15 minutes, come to say hello, or come to do an hour. And you just to observe a new area of Bayonne that's opening up. Thank you.
Ms. Barrio?
Sarah Barrow, 11 West 33rd Street. Last year, there's a empty lot on 33rd Street and Broadway next to the Dominican restaurant, and I had permission to use it from the owner. I went through City Hall first to get the paperwork, and I was declined. And it got me thinking, there's a lot of empty lots in Bayonne, just doing nothing. There's now a huge one on 33rd and Broadway on the opposite side of the Dominican restaurant. And I had the idea, I talked to someone in City Hall about this, and it turns out other people had the same idea. Why don't you build a vendor lot? A space that's completely flattened with a barn roof over it and host events there. A lot of times Bayonne does little events and you close off streets, which causes traffic, like the farmer's market or a small fair. You can have lots in Bayonne, big ones, and use that for events. You can turn it into a store market event every week, kind of like Meadowlands, or how the Dream Mall rents their space to major corporations to do pop-up stores. And you can bring in more people to kind of make your own like Market Valley right there in Bayonne. And you can, and you as Z people can pay a cheaper price to rent it out. You can host huge events there, try and bring in tourists into Bayonne, because Bayonne, there's not much to do. And we have so much space, empty lots, like the one on 33rd Street, just completely empty.
So if it's city property, that's something we could probably, consider. But if it's private property, it's up to the people who own that. There's a plan to do something in that, says a developer who's buying that land, he may have a different plan and may not want to do the vendor market. But I'm not saying that it's not a good idea. It's just a matter of finding the right land to do it on.
That's the thing, though. There's a lot of empty spots. I find it weird that they're all privately owned and nothing's being done with them, because there's a lot of them.
In each empty lot, there's legality issues about letting people on the property, there's insurance and different things like that. And that's why somebody may not want the public to be on their property. Also, again, if it's a vendor lot, then you have to realize that you're making sales there and stuff too. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying it would have to find the right niche, really, to make it happen.
So I would have to find, I would have to figure out who owns that portion and talk to them.
And make the pitch to them, I guess. That would be one way to do it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on.
And before we move on, I did get, I saw Stephanie raise her hand, Stephanie Wilson. Stephanie, did you mean to want to speak?
I need to ask you a question.
All right, come up. We'll allow you.
Stephanie Glover Wilson, Avenue C. Two things. One bad thing. Hunger Free lost funding due to everything that's going on. So the office at 170 Broadway will be closing January 1st. So I'm coming to the council. I need office space, free office space, because I paid for the last 2 years, and I cannot afford to pay rent anymore for office space that I'm doing stuff for the town and for all of Hudson County. So, one of y'all own something that I can just go into, I would appreciate it. Number two, we get a lot of bad fruit, and my volunteers asked me, what can we do to start a composting system here in Bayonne? I know we have to take it all the way to Jersey City, and then we take some to Kearney. But what can we do to start something right here in town so we can have? If anyone has any suggestions, ideas, my volunteers are killing me.
Maybe one of the public works yards, if there was a space, and we'd have to look into that. Mr. Carter, I don't know if there's a composting area where we could look into that? Okay, all right. And then Ms. Desmond, do you have an idea?
I do, on space.
Talk to me.
We have space, which someone's leaving the Trinitas space where they were doing mental health services, and they're leaving.
Can't hear.
I can't hear you.
So this is office space, not the, okay.
Well, if I can,
Neil, give her your microphone if you don't mind.
597 Broadway is owned by the city of Bayonne.
Mary Jane.
And we had a contract with a mental health provider for the past, 20 years. And they notified us that they're not going to renew their lease come January 1st. It's a large space. You wouldn't need all of the space, but I think a discussion could be had between now and the December meeting as to whether or not, it wouldn't be till January, because they're there till December 31st. But certainly we can have a discussion and talk about what it would take to facilitate whatever it is you need, how much space and what it would entail. And Mary Jane would be the contact person for that as we're moving forward.
I don't know if everyone's been into I know Lloyd and Neil has been into the 170 office. You see how big a space I need to do everything that we do. That has like 3 sections, and one's a private section so we can counsel families when they're going through all their tragic stuff. And then one side is for Hudson County because they come down to do the food stamp applications and the Medicaid. And then the other is just to store the non-perishable food to give out for emergency cases.
Do you have any idea of the square footage, like, or no? I mean, that could be measured, but we could measure that.
I mean, Neil, you've been, is the same size as Bayonne Commerce.
Okay.
So, you know, you've been
I have an
inside that
idea,
office.
But we need, we'll,
Yeah.
don't worry, even if we have to come down and measure, we'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie. And then I want to take a few minutes to address Ms. Mattis, Ms. Nadrowski. Forgive me, I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, and then I didn't have an opportunity. I did allude to the fact that I've been made aware that there is a possibility that we do not currently have the means to meet our financial obligations in the upcoming budget. That is something that we were just made aware of. Like you, I do not know why. It is one of the questions I have asked and would hope to have an answer to. I do agree with you, Sharon, that the pilots are a necessary part of a municipal budget because they do allow for the greatest allocation of that income to benefit the city. And I have often said I don't understand why, at a time when this city is generating more revenue than ever before, we are having issues meeting our budget. Now, again, that is something because in our budget last year, we met our budget and we had a bit of a surplus. I am led to believe that in the future budget, that is not the case. Now, with that being said, in full disclosure, I've also been made aware that there have been a tremendous amount of retirements and our police, our firemen, our workforce, there are a tremendous amount of retirements that have taken place. That does come at a cost to the city. I don't know what that dollar amount is just yet. I do also know that the rising costs of healthcare expenses, so much so that played a role in that, so much so that the city took it upon themselves to cancel the short-term disability insurance for all of our colleagues. Something that I do not agree with, I think was unfair, unnecessary, and should have been discussed with colleagues in advance so they were prepared. That did not happen. Now, again,
And
I
did not
believe...
happen by the council either.
No, it didn't, nor were we aware. Now, nevertheless, I do believe that the city, at this point in time, is doing what they can to assist in that endeavor, spearheaded by several people, but I don't know what has caused that. And again, that is just something that we have recently been made aware of. So I did allude to that. I absolutely take ownership of that statement because that is what I have been led to believe. I don't know why or what has led to that. I do hope to. It has been my request in the past that all of these pilots have this council has the ability to have a line item allocation in pilots to our school board budgeting and our requirement to meet the school board budget. That would, I could not promise you that it would not necessitate the increase in property taxes, but it should lessen any potential increase in property taxes, if at all. Now, again, I don't have the answers to that. It is just something that we've been made aware of and that I'm hoping to look into greater, and I will hopefully have an upcoming meeting that will help us. I think all of the council in general will sit to review all of those facts and see what it is that has led us to once again be in the position of a potential deficit. So that was where my comments came from. That was the foundation for it. I don't have a better answer for you, and I apologize for that. I would like to, and I intend to.
Ms. Medina? Okay. Wait, the public speaking, this is not going to be questions back and forth.
No, I
Everybody
just,
had a chance to speak, and we want to move on.
yeah, I just want to know, is there going to be a mayor election? I mean, I don't understand what's going on with that.
Yeah. We're not going to discuss that right
Okay.
now, okay? But thank you anyway. I appreciate that. Ms. Medina?
Okay. 09 is an ordinance for introduction. It is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and a final passage. The resolution is moved by the Council President. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
010 is also an ordinance amending Chapter 7 Traffic and a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Mr. Booker, will you second? Second. On the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
011 also amends Chapter 7 Traffic and has a resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Who would like to move it?
Move it. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
012 is a ordinance approving the redevelopment plan for the property located at 62.5-72 Prospect Avenue, which is identified as Block 449, lots 21, 22, and 23, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. And the resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th, as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Would you like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
In the intervening 30 days, I would ask that the plan be amended to include an affordable housing measure. I would also ask that the director meet with me to go over various add-ons from the caucus meeting, which I asked for last week, 7 days ago, and did not get. So, for the sake of getting these answers in 30 days, I'll vote aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
013. They don't normally answer questions on introduction.
What was on the planning board? 012, I apologize.
I have no idea. It's up to the council president.
Gene, I'm going to allow you to come up and
Thank you,
ask the
Gary, I
question.
appreciate
So,
it, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I make the 17th?
Uh-huh. I could not hear what you said.
No, I was asking when this was going before the planning board, because I didn't see it in the last few agendas, and I just open requested
This
every
is not-
document
this
on its
is-
property, because this is a property that was torched 10 days ago, that my daughter-in-law broke her arm, dislocated her shoulder, has nerve damage, trying to get my granddaughter out of the house. So I find it a little coincidental that there was 4 years now this is in the making, this property. Now all of a sudden there was a fire, and now it's for planning and zoning.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the coincidence of all that. I really don't know anything about that. What I do know is 012 and 013 is coming before the council.
Okay.
And has not been to the planning board yet.
Right.
And there's a number of projects that were.
So the next step is you guys then planning?
Yes.
Thank you,
So
sir.
there's a number of projects that have been in the queue for a long time, and we're trying to get things done and progress. And that's the reason why we're doing this in that order.
I'll make sure I'm at the planning board meeting. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gene.
Just on one of the comments made about the fire on this property. The fire is being investigated, by our fire department on there. However, as of right now, there's no indication that this is arson at this point in the preliminary one. So to indicate that, again, this is being moved for nefarious reasons, that's just not true on that. Again, the fire department, if it, when the report is finalized, if it comes to a different conclusion, we'll get there, but the initial investigation and the initial comments on that, that this was not a
Okay.
suspicious arson fire.
All right. Thank you.
013 is an ordinance approving the redevelopment plan for the property located at 1037-1041 Broadway, which is identified as Block 45, Lot 20, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th, as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. Who would like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
And on 013, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll?
Aye with the same stipulations.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer? Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
014 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances, Chapter 35 zoning, and resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. to Dorothy Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place in public hearing. Would like to move it.
Move.
Second.
And on 014, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
015 also amends Chapter 35 zoning, and a resolution fixing December 15th as a time and place for a public hearing. Would like to move it.
Move. Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
I know we have 30 days, but this one in particular, Joe, I need you to remember where my office is and try to meet with me, because this changes the industrial zone and sets buffers between the public and what the potential operation that's going to be there. And I know these zones exist across the city, and I'd like to have more clarification on this, especially in light of the scrapyard downtown.
I think we probably all would, Joe. So I guess,
It's for introduction. I wouldn't mind holding it, but I can't count to 3 up here.
Again, I'm willing to meet with any of the council members, as I have standing appointments with most of you up there to discuss items, so happy to feel free to discuss this with you.
where's this exact property, Director? I'm sorry.
For this one, as discussed last week, we're on 015.
Yeah.
On this one, it's just creating as a conditional use standard, an import and export for automobile facilities, basically for indoor warehouses. Some of the ones that have been built, there's been an ask to, by the, of the administration to permit this as a expressly, permitted use there. Right now, it's ambiguous into the ordinance whether or not this would qualify under the warehouse and distribution and trucking standard there. So this is also, again, we're asking to amend the zoning that would permit this as a conditional use. So this would still go in front of the planning board with the enumerated standards. And again, the ones that are being proposed on this is that this facility be an import-export facility, but it be a warehouse. The warehouse will be limited to the storage of passenger cars and delivery vans and shall not store tractor cabins or trailers not related to the movement of the cars and vans. Maximum number of units of trips per day would be 25 trucks that would have the car on them and should only operate between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. There should be a maximum stored 200 cars on the premise, and the area shall be fully fenced in with the minimum height of 8 feet. And then if the area where the vehicles are stored shall be screened, otherwise prevented from view from public streets, right-of-ways, and adjacent properties of a fence, wall, landscaping, berm, or any combination of. If there's accessory structures or buildings associated with the aforesaid use, that location be located in the rear or side yard, and then where the use adjoins a residential zone, a 25-foot buffer shall be provided. Again, this is just for introduction, and this still has to go in front of the planning board for discussion as to the consistency plan for the review. On another note, back to the prior comment too, in speaking with Chief Weaver, the reports said that the fire was caused by a cigarette that was improperly disposed of in a garbage can.
Director, a quick question. This location, this is on a Hook Road, if I'm not mistaken, is that?
This would be in the entirety of the,
The entire area.
yes, so.
And does it also note tank farms and bulk storage of flammable and combustible liquids?
Well, again, that is currently permitted in the ordinance as of right now.
That we're being asked to
No,
put forth
it's only, that's currently in there. What's being proposed is in the bold on the bottom,
That's
number 4.
currently in there, but what we're asking to do is to zone that area as heavy industrial, which would allow for that, correct?
It currently
is that what
allows
the ask-
the, it currently
It's
allows,
already zoned that way?
it currently allows the tank farms, yes.
It allow, okay.
Yeah, what-
That- The
what's being-
ordinance allows for that.
The
Is
ord-
that area already zoned for that?
Yes.
It is.
So what's being proposed is the change in the bold
Is the
and
bold
underline. Yeah.
I see.
And where would the entrance be at this moment before it goes before the planning board?
Again, that would be at the site plan hearing to decide on that, but this would change, again, the standard within the zone. And again, as a conditional use standard, it has to go in front of the planning board for a site plan hearing.
And I might just add, just from a general land use perspective, what a conditional use is, it does have to satisfy all those conditions. If they don't touch on every one of those, then basically it becomes a non-permitted use. If they would want to get relief from that, they'd actually have to come in with D variance relief before your zoning board. So they do need, in order for it to be permitted, they have to hit all those conditional use standards and still come in and present their applications.
But this is not specific to this one site. This would change it for all sites under this designation.
Anything within the heavy industrial zone, yes.
And that's my concern. So that's what I want to meet with you about, especially with respect to buffer zones and so forth.
Again, as stated with the buffer zones there, if it's within 20, there has to be a 25 foot, 25-foot buffer zone if it adjoins a residential zone.
Okay, so on introduction, Mr. Carroll.
For introduction pending further review, I'll vote aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
My comments are the same as Councilman Carroll. I think we could vote aye to introduce it and then have further discussions.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
016 is approving an amendment to the redevelopment plan 469-71 New Hook Road, which is identified as Block 416, Lots 1 and 2, as shown on the official tax map of the city pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for public hearing and final passage. Who would like to move it?
Move.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
I'm going to recuse myself as I do work for the tenant there.
017 is an ordinance vacating the right-of-way easement reserved to the city of Bayonne and conveyed to Doorport Realty for LLC over Block 476.01, lots 10.01 and 10.02, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for public hearing and final passage. Who would like to move it?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
018 has been removed, withdrawn. Communications is a resolution moved by the council as a whole, ordering the following communications to be received and filed. It covers C1 through C8. Any questions on the communications? And on the communications, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Officers' reports is a resolution moved by the council as a whole. It orders the following officers' reports to be received and filed, and any resolutions incorporated within to be adopted. It covers OR 1 through OR 6. Any questions on the officers' reports? And on the officers' reports, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Consent resolutions is moved by the council as a whole, and it orders the following resolutions to be adopted. But CR4, CR21, CR16, and CR17 have been removed.
Okay, just repeat that again, please.
It's CR4, CR16, 17, and CR21. Any questions on the remaining consent resolutions? And on the resolutions, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R1 is affirming that the council members have read at a minimum the comments and recommendations section of the calendar year 2024 audit, and I will be asking you to sign an affidavit certifying that you have done so. Who'd like to move it?
So moved. Second.
Take one quick second.
I think, so could we just have a quick summary of any action items that were noted, if any, and if we've rectified any recommendations in that audit? Were there any?
There were 3 comments.
Right, I read.
Already rectified.
That were already rectified. What were the 3 comments?
One had to do with the bid. There were bid documents that weren't available. The second one was regarding overtime, that there was some overtime that was paid that didn't have a signature.
And that, so I think that comment was that wasn't properly documented. So was it just that the proper documentation was missing a signature? Or was there no indication?
Some of them were missing signatures, and then there was like 9 instances where they were missing signatures, and 5 where there was no reason stated for the overtime. There's supposed to be a reason for the overtime.
And so do,
It was affected 2 departments. I spoke to both the departments. They're aware of it, and then I also spoke to payroll to make sure that they would, not process anything if it doesn't have that.
proper substantiation. Okay.
And the third was,
Petty cash.
one resolution,
Excuse me.
a contract was awarded, and it didn't state in the resolution how it was awarded, whether it was non-fair and open, whether it, so, that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So with that, you need a bell.
Thank you.
So on R1, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay, R2 has been withdrawn. R3 is awarding the sale of the city of Bayonne in the county of Hudson, New Jersey, of its property tax levy for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and ratifying and confirming and authorizing certain actions in connection therewith. Would like to move it.
Move.
And a second? On R3, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Can I just jump in here? I was advised that CR 17 was pulled.
Yes. No, yes.
Yeah, Madeline said CR 4, 16, 17, and 21 were all removed.
They were for the CDBG that I never received any.
CR 17 is the temporary water
Okay, so it's
pipeline
not 17.
construction
I
easement.
apologize, it's 15 and 16 that were removed.
Okay, so Abco Construction, which is CR 15, we didn't get that information, right? And CR 16.
Correct.
So we've got to go back and amend the resolution for the consent to
To reflect that it's CR.
reflect that it's CR 17 is included, CR 15, 16, 21,
And CR 4.
and 4, yeah.
So on the amendment of the consent resolutions, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And back to R4. It's designating the property located at 485-493 Avenue C and 64-66 West 22nd Street, which is identified as 209 lots 22, 23.01, and 27 as a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment, and authorizing the planning board to prepare a redevelopment plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. Would like to move it.
Move it. Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R5 is designating 102-116 Avenue E Bayonne Urban Renewal LLC as redeveloper of the property located at 102.5-116 Avenue E, which is identified as Block 467, lots 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, as shown on the official tax map, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement for the same.
Move it.
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R6 is designating ML Realty Corp. of New Jersey as the redeveloper of the property located at 626-628 Avenue E, which is identified as Block 405, Lots 31, as shown on the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment for the same.
You still want to do that?
Yeah, Madeline, can we carry this since the redevelopment plan didn't pass? So there's no statutory authority to grant this agreement.
Moving on to R7, designating MW Urban Renewal LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 361-373 Kennedy Boulevard, which is identified as Block 262, Lots 7, 8, and 9, as shown on the official tax map, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement for the same.
Move it.
Second.
And on that one, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R8 is designating John and Mary Ann LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 1012-1022 Avenue C and 53-57 West 48th, which is identified as Block 64, Lots 2 and 3, as shown on the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement.
Move.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
9 is designating Golden Apple Capital LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 935-939 Broadway, which is identified as Block 85, Lot 23, as shown in the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement. I'd like to move it.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R10 is designating NES LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 11-13 West 19th, 431-437 Broadway, and 10-12 West 20th, which is identified as Block 220, lots 18, 23, 24, 25, and 26, as shown on official tax map, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement.
Move it.
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R11 is designating 653-657 Avenue E LLC as the redeveloper of the property located at 653-657 Avenue E, which is identified as Block 139, lots 19 and 20, as shown on the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement.
Madeline, if I may just interject here, actually, we just have a typo in terms of block and lots here. It's actually Block 98, lots 13, 14, and 15. It is correctly referenced in the resolution itself.
So it's identified as Block 98, 13, 14, lots 14 and 15. Would like to move it.
I'm going to have one correction on the next one as well, just so you know.
I'll move it.
And on the resolutions, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R12 is authorizing the planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation to determine if the property located at 1201-1203 Kennedy Boulevard and 1205 Kennedy Boulevard, and I guess I should have to look into it, which is identified as Block 32, lots 13.01 and 15, constitutes a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment, and authorizing the preparation of a redevelopment plan. Would like to move it.
Move it. I see you put the correct lot and block in there.
And second? Second. And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R13 is authorizing the execution of a second amendment to the redevelopment agreement with KOZ Prospect Property Urban Renewal LLC for the redevelopment of the property identified as Block 455, Lot 1.01, as shown on the official tax map. Who'd like to move it? R13.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R14 is authorizing the execution of a license agreement between the City of Bayonne and 746 Avenue E, Bayonne Urban Renewal LLC.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R15 is designating Port Terminal Ferry Corp. doing business as New York Waterway as the redeveloper of the property located at the Peninsula Bayonne Harbor and identified as portions of Block 930, Lot 1, Block 970, Lot 1, as shown on the official tax map of the city, and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement, ferry operators agreement, license agreement, and parking management agreement for the redevelopment of said property and operating the ferry services in accordance with the redevelopment plan.
So moved.
Yes. Mr. Drowsky.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. I'm just going to say kudos if you can get it done. I'm glad it's here. I've been advocating it for a long time. I just hope it's not like the other plan we did tonight where it takes 10 years, or movie studio, which is about 10 years in the making. You know, just because we give redevelopment plans, I hope we have some follow-up on the people that are supposed to follow up. But the real reason for my coming up, because I don't think I'm going to speak on anything else, is I would like to thank Ms. Weimer for being fully transparent about the financial comment situation. I do appreciate transparency with the residents, so thank you.
So on R15, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
I'm very happy to see this, and I vote aye.
R16 is authorizing the execution of a water wheeling agreement between the city of Bayonne and the town of Kearney.
Move it. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Now, the others are space holders. Are we awarding the contract for the alterations to the Stepping Stone Academy? Mr.
Move it.
Coffey?
Second.
Well, I was told that they were still
Oh.
space holders.
Okay. I thought you needed.
This is an award, we took in two, this is for Holy Family Academy, took in two bids, one for $8,194,000 from H&S Construction, and the second from Billy Contracting in the amount of $5.894 million. So the award would be, as you can imagine, the one for $5.894 million, and it's subject to the grant funds that the BEOF got from the federal government, and of course, the federal government actually having the funds when they reopen.
Jay, I wonder, you know, we learned with the 25th Street pedestrian bridge that sometimes the lowest bidder is not always the best choice.
Well, in this case, we had a very successful experience with Billy Contracting, because they
Okay,
did
that
all
was-
the air conditioning, and I echo your sentiments about the lowest not always being the best. But in this case, we had a very good experience with Billy Contracting in Phase 1.
I see, okay, thank you. That was my question as to what due diligence or what experience we've had with the contractors.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Jones has a question.
Yeah, I didn't read this. So this is Holy Family again. Want to talk about projects that are dragging on? I don't know, how long has this rehab been going? We purchased this property with the idea of selling it and for them, and we were going to sell the other properties, which we started selling. And we still don't have enough seats for Head Start. We still have a waiting list. Can I get, there's been, I'd like to get a number from whoever up here can give it to me, on exactly how much money we have allocated through BEOF and the city to this project. Because I feel like we could have built a big, beautiful building, maybe 30 stories, for what we're, Head Start, for what we've spent over the last, I'm going to say, it has to be about 9 years that this has been going on, the rehab
We
there?
purchased in 21.
Okay, so 6 years. It's 5 years. It's been longer than that. 21? No, it was not
actually,
21.
We closed in 18, and then we got into the transaction with them where they actually moved in 21.
Yeah, but they were rehabbing before they moved in.
Understood.
Yeah, so I'm saying how much money from the, say, we purchased the land, minus the purchase price, I mean, you could put in the, minus the purchase price, how much rehab? And when is the end in sight? I mean, this is holding up some serious services that are needed.
We didn't.
You're
spend the money.
contracting out, I know, but we authorized it. It's
Yeah,
through
we did,
our
and
our
I think
economic
We got
development.
5.8 here. I know we had 1.2 in connection with the first phase, and that was more than we had expected. We can get a number that finalizes it, but it's all through federal Head Start grants.
I'm not saying, I understand where the money comes from. I'm just understanding the mismanagement of getting the site up and working,
I
right?
can also tell you the federal government, if you want to talk mismanagement or you want to talk a troubling place to work with, it's the federal government, because we spent about 2 years trying to ascertain the final approval. Suzanne, is that about right? 2.5 years? And we were directed directed by the federal government to apply for even more money. We weren't, the BEOF was. They put in for, I think, $1.7 million. They were told, no, go in for 5 and change. And they went in for 5 and change. And maybe that extra $4 million cost us 2 more years. So to throw it on the BOF when you're dealing with the behemoth that is the federal government's a bit unfair. That piece of property is a troubled piece of property. We knew that going in. BEOF knew that there were going to be environmental concerns. They had to remove all the asbestos. They had old-style furnaces in there. Everything had to be removed. You're in tight quarters because you've got residences on both sides, and the people on Howard Place are not at all thrilled about all the construction work that's gone on there. And we've got to start, the BEOF has to start drawing down on this money pretty quickly. But it wasn't until probably September of last year that they came and visited, because Samantha Howard was still working here. And the federal government actually came, a contingent came to Bayonne, and we had a meeting with them down at the museum on Broadway and 9th, and that's where they finally confirmed that we would be getting the $5.7 million or whatever it is that they told us to apply for. But it sat mysteriously for a good 2 years where we couldn't get an answer out of Washington for anything.
Okay, I just want to know in the end game when we can actually get kids into the Head Start program that are desperately needing it. Because when we started this to get through the wait list, those kids are obviously too old now to need it. So people were left unserved for something that shouldn't really be left. And I'm glad you're worried about the people on Howard Place, because you weren't worried about the people in my neighborhood when you decided to move the whatever you want to call it, impound yard down by me. Thank you.
So who'd like to move R-17?
So move.
And on R-17, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Are we awarding the contract for improvements to Russell Golding Park?
No,
Oh, okay.
we need to hold off on that.
Yes.
R-19.
What would,
We got 4 bids. A&L Disposal at a total of $12,937,613. Century Waste Services at $10,287,000. Suburban Disposal, $15,958,000. And Affordable Cartage at $15,991,000. And those are for all 5 years. The award is going to be for it's a 3-year bid with 2 options at the city's option, sole option, as we did the last time. And so Century Waste Services for the first 3 years is at $5,994,000. A&L Disposals at $7,718,227.80. Suburban Disposal was at $9,168,000. Affordable Cartage at $9,455,083.36. The recommendation by the Department Director, the Purchasing Agent, and the Engineer is that we award to Century Waste Services in the amount of $5,994,000 for the first 3 years with 2 one-year options exercisable at our discretion. The previous work that Century Waste Services did was for the Housing Authority of the City of New York. And we did receive a objection from A&L Disposal as to some documentation that was either submitted incorrectly or not included within the bid. I don't think that any of them, we're going to look into it further, are fatal to the bid. So the recommendation is to award to Century Waste Services, which, yes, Jackie, is the lowest, by about $2 million.
So, Jay, the 5.9 was essentially 6 million is for the first 3 years. Is it 2 million for each of the
It's
option years?
$2,097,000 and $2,196,000. So it boils, I think we did the math, it's like 1.998 for the first 3 years, and then it goes up to 2,097,000 and 2,196 the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
And so then of course, my next comment is, does that come with any change in the level of service we're currently getting?
It's everything and more, and it's actually better defined as to what's required. Director Cotter and I spent days, and we actually sat with our business administrator, Mary Jane Desmond, to go over the particulars of this bid, to make sure that we had it right down to the brass tacks as to what is and what isn't included.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
We are awarding to Century Waste Services for solid waste collection. Who'd like to move
Would
it?
you like to do it as a whole, everybody? Yeah. Okay, move it as a whole, please.
So on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
And I know this went up from our previous contracts, that everything went through the roof, obviously. But $2 million difference on number two is a very, very large difference. So I'm happy to say aye for this contract.
Okay. Next item I have is reserved space for authorization to enter into an amended and updated community benefits agreement and redevelopment agreement in connection with the 1880 Studios and Togus Urban Renewal LLC.
As you're all aware, Togus, 1888 Studios, was able to get, the legislation was finally passed a month ago, and or maybe 2 months ago, and within the past 2 weeks, they were able to enter into lease with Paramount Global, which puts them as in a 10-year lease position. There's also the hopes that they can get 1 or 2 more 3-year leaseholders. But based upon the fact that they were able to secure a 10-year lease, and they were approved by the Economic Development Authority, I think 2 Thursdays ago, to move forward. It's now time to, again, this takes a long time to go through. This was several years ago. We negotiated the basic terms of a community benefit agreement, and now it's time to implement it. So there's an EDA form that you have to fill in the blanks in connection with Aspire funding financing from the state, and this will allow us to enter into a community benefits agreement where that was previously discussed a couple of years ago about what individual benefits the people of Bayonne will receive above and beyond a pilot payment, above and beyond the exchange of the number of people who will be working on this property, and then number of people who will be working on constructing this property.
Jay, is there a dollar amount attached to this?
And even some of those, of the community benefits, because there are a great deal of benefits, including interactive programs with our schools, and so some of the agreements, or even if we could release to the public a list of those, of the community benefits that we will get to see, touch, and feel, and that will come out of this.
We're still fine tuning them, but I can tell you that right off the bat, they have to implement and develop a plan to mitigate flooding issues in the area of Avenue A and West First Street at a cost, to reduce the flooding at a cost up to not to exceed $2 million. They're going to construct the walkway improvements, public parks and open space as depicted in the redevelopment agreement. Then there's a whole host of there's a community advisory committee that has to be established to implement and maybe flesh out more benefits. So this just.
And Jay, is there a term, or is it in perpetuity as long as they're in business?
Well, I think the initial benefits are going to flow in over a fixed period of time. But as they become part of our community, I can't say that they're not going to want to continue and have.
I just wanted to know if there was something in writing that said this will continue every year, whether it's a tutoring or teaching of some of their technical skills, things like that.
Tax credit, the Aspire tax credit program. So if they violate this or they stop adhering to whatever we agreed to, they lose their Aspire funding then. So, and there are tragic financial consequences for them if they do that.
So I guess
And the
I would like
NJEDA
to see the agreement, is what I'm saying, so, okay?
the draft agreement, but it still has to be fine-tooth comb has to go through it. And remember, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority is part of this agreement.
Okay, but if you could get the council a copy, we'd appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
How'd you like to move it?
I guess my question before we move it is, so are we approving the agreement in and of itself, or are we approving moving forward with the?
You're approving it's a form agreement, and we're going to have to come back to you with the final on the.
I see, that was my question. Okay.
It's a draft,
Thank you for the
said,
red
right?
line.
It's just a draft for now.
Mr. Booker moved it. Who'd like the second?
Second.
On that one, which will be R20, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
I have nothing more.
One ordinance that was sent to you earlier today by Mr. Wichiscala's office.
Okay, and the conversation was held with the council president?
Yes, it was, I believe.
And he said no, so you may want to revisit that
Next month.
conversation.
Motion to close.
Next month?
Next month.
So
Okay.
take a motion to close from Mr. Carroll, and a second. And on motion to adjourn, actually, Mr. Booker. Mr.
Wait, wait, no, we had two on the resolution that you had there for the First Street for Togus. It was actually two parts. I had to break it into two separate resolutions. There was one for the community
But
benefits
when I
agreement.
emailed you at 10:30, you didn't respond to me. And
No,
now you're
no, no, no,
throwing
no,
this
no,
at
no,
me.
not that one, this one. I'm talking about for Togus, for 1888 student.
That's what I'm talking about. I emailed you this morning.
I sent you
forward.
two resolutions for that.
No, you did not.
Okay, rather than have this disagreement, is it something that we?
It's very simple. It's a resolution that allows for a First Amendment to the redevelopment agreement. And all it does is change the schedule of the construction, because it's been 2 years since we entered into it.
To what? What is the new?
I can-
He gave it to me, but he's giving it to them now.
Okay, so I'm going to read this. Subject to site preparation, environmental remediation, obtaining all government approvals, and to tolling, extension, and modification as provided in the agreement, commence construction by June 30, 2026, complete construction by 40 months following the commencement of affirmative construction. Outside date for completion of construction of the entire project is 5 years from commencement of construction or June 30th, 2026, whichever is later. And there's what we were talking about, dates for completion. So, like you had mentioned before. Again, a lot of these, they can ask for an extension if there's a good reason. It doesn't have to be granted, but obviously, different things. During COVID, there were several companies that had problems getting supplies, and they asked for extensions, and some of them were granted.
I mean, did they get like a penalty or something?
Yeah, it's case by case. There could be penalties, yes. Okay.
On Ed 1, would like to move it. And on that one, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Coffey?
I think that's it.
Okay. So on the motion to adjourn, and Mr. Booker. To adjourn. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
I want to wish everybody a happy Diwali and a happy Thanksgiving, and I vote aye.